What's up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Tuesday to you all. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. Appreciate you tuning in. If it's on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available to stream up online at sportstalk1051.com, WAYYradio.com. Got your smart devices, smart speakers like your Alexa, the app, download it, take it on the go, and video stream up and rolling early this morning on Man Cave TV on YouTube. So you could join in on the Section 105 chat room over there. That Shoe Doctor's bullpen line is also up and rolling, 715-830-1912. What do we have on our game plan for this morning? Well, we're going to talk a little Brewers as the Brew Crew falling in Game 1 of their series against the Cardinals last night, a 6-3 loss. Brewers tried to chip away at it in the ninth by adding a couple of runs, but not enough thanks to that fourth inning. 3 runs by the Cardinals, and Chad Patrick. Not the greatest of outings for Patrick. He only went 3 1/3, giving up 7 hits, 4 earned runs. Again, walks, little an issue with Chad Patrick. But looking at the good news, I guess, is Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn back in the lineup. And, well, Jackson Chourio, dude, looked like he's fresh and he's already. He looked like just one game, but, it was perfect. That's the best way to describe it, because he was 4 for 4 from the plate, and then he had a walk. So in five appearances, he gets a walk and then 4 for 4. So, double right away to begin the game and such. So Jackson Chourio definitely looked the part offensively. It's just the Brewers not able to manufacture a ton of runs after that. 7 of the 11 hits last night came from Chourio and Bryce Terang, your 2-3 hitters. After that, it was sprinkled a little across. Contreras with 1, Bowers with 1, Frelick, Luis Rengifo. So, but they'll try again tonight. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Again, it'll be another 6:45 game here, but the Brewers going to be throwing out for tonight's matchup is going to be Brandon Sproat, looking for his first win on the season. So we'll recap last night's game and look ahead to Game 2 of this series, and maybe throw a little Jackson Chourio chat in here too. Dude looked the part last night. Man, he looked good. I know it's just one game, but for crying out loud, it was his first game this season. It's all we have to look at, right? So it'd be nice if he play like that the whole year. Not saying he's going to be perfect from the plate, but you know what I mean. So, also on the dockets here this morning, we're going to talk a little grit of gold. First impressions, peeps. First impressions of Jonathan Gannon from his presser yesterday. Any thoughts, any feedback? If you watched it, listened to it, read some of the quotes, any feedback? Cam Acord, also special teams coordinator. First impressions, first time we have heard from him. So we'll go through some of the comments, some of the quotes, and give me some of your impressions of both Jonathan Gannon and Cam, the new special teams coordinator for the Packers. But that's not the only thing that's Packers related. Yesterday, the Packers making it official too. They've got a brand new backup quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. Packers bringing him aboard and signing him. In a corresponding move, the Packers have released Desmond Ridder. So the Packers electing to go the veteran route to back up Jordan Love. And outside of Malik, I can't remember, outside of like Doug Peterson and Jim McMahon, all right, when was the last time that the green and gold, that the Packers signed or brought in a veteran quarterback with double-digit years of experience to be their primary backup? Do we have to go to the Doug Peterson era? Is that like I know they brought in Vince Young for a hot minute, but that was just, preseason. Even when they brought in Malik Willis, he was still on a rookie deal. Tim Couch, they tried to kick tires on in one preseason. I don't know if I can remember another time where they brought in a veteran quarterback. And when I say veteran, we're talking about, he's 36 years old. Okay, he'll be 37 before the season starts. Seneca Wallace maybe for a hot minute. I mean, remember Seneca Wallace, that 2013? That was right before the season began. So it's been a little bit. But I like the move. I don't know what the rest of you think. I like the move, but I also think it, the last couple of years, seeing Jordan Love get banged up and get hurt, I think it really showed the importance to this team about having an established veteran quarterback, a backup quarterback, and maybe a quarterback that you kind of trust a little bit more too. Because, I mean, how long did we go throughout the years? And yes, Matt Flynn was on there too, but I'm talking like 10 plus years of experience. It sometimes that, when they brought back Matt Flynn, it was kind of like they were forced to because Seneca got hurt, and then Scott Tolzien really wasn't getting it fully done and such. So, but man, it's I think this is kind of rare-ish, and I feel like this is something that's Packers fans have wanted for a long time, is to bring in an established veteran quarterback. But nonetheless, going back to what I was trying to say is I think the last couple of years it proved to this team, and it proved that you need an established backup quarterback in case your starter goes down. You want a guy that you're going to be comfortable with, that they can go in there and win a ball game for you, that they can go out there and you can have confidence with them and the playbook and such. And Tyrod does bring a little bit of an element of the rushing and such. He is up there in age and that, but the scrambling ability. So he may be kind of is it fair to say an older version of a Malik Willis? Now, not as dynamic of a runner as Malik Willis and such, but I like it. What are your thoughts, Packers fans? So we'll talk some green and gold here this morning. Also on the docket, it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what's grinding your gears? Brought to you by Toyson Ford. Get it off your chest. Remember, it's a Feel Good Tuesday, or Feel Better Tuesday, because not only is it Grind My Gears Tuesday, but we're also, what's your confession? What's your sports confessions? Okay? Let us know. Get it off your chest. Feel better about yourself on this Tuesday morning. So, also, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blank. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Best ones we'll read up on the air. So send those on over too. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal in a couple hours. We'll catch up on the latest and greatest in Badgerland. So we'll talk some Badgers with RJ as well coming up here again in just a couple of hours. So, and that's pretty much your game plan for us this morning. We're gonna dabble into hoops wise. Anthony Edwards, if you're a Timberwolves fan, I know we've got quite a few of them just because of the area we're in here too. Anthony Edwards surprising a lot of people and making his return. Did come off the bench last night, but T-Wolves taking game one against the Spurs. So T-Wolves fans got to be feeling pretty pumped up, stealing home court advantage from the Spurs last night too. So you got the Wild that are going to be back in action tonight, so looking to even up this series in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So yeah, it's good to be a T-Wolves fan. And if you're a Wilds fan, your team is still in it too. But all right, let's get things going here this morning. Coming up on the leadoff, we'll talk a little Brew Crew. Last night's game, Jackson Chourio returns, Andrew Vaughn returns, but it was Jackson Chourio that really was impressive last night. But biggest thing is that the Brewers did fall. They dropped game one against the Cardinals. Can they bounce back and get a game two victory tonight? We'll recap last night and look ahead to game two coming up after these quick words. Looking for a great spot to unwind in Eau Claire? Well, then you need to check out the VFW Post 305 and take in the view from their gorgeous back patio. It's one of the best in town. And whether you're meeting some friends or enjoying a cold beverage or just soaking up summer evening, this is the place to be. With live bands, fun events, and something happening all the time, there's always a reason to stop on by. The VFW Post 305, located 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Don't forget about their Mother's Day brunch coming up here, too. So if you are looking for somewhere to take mom out for Mother's Day, or the wife, or whoever it may be, go over to our good friends at the VFW Post 305. The food there is absolutely amazing. And then with it being Cinco de Mayo today, well, they've got, of course, a celebration going on too. So you can check out their Facebook page, VFW Club at 305, for all the details for Cinco de Mayo today. So, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. You got the burger contest coming up on Thursday too. So there's always something going on there. Man alive. We've got C-Bomb, of course, C-Bomb chiming in right away when it comes to a little green and gold chat. By the way, good morning to Joe and Barb on our Section 105 video chats. Appreciate you guys chiming in already. But C-Bob says it is an extremely smart move to pick up Taylor. I can't believe he's 37 years old. Feels like he should be 28. Backup quarterback has always been an important position, but it wasn't until the Eagles won with Nick Foles when I really began to believe that it is a must-have position. The Eagles team would never have won a Super Bowl if they had some clipboard warrior as a backup. Well, I mean, not only that, C-Bomb, and I know it's a little bit different, but think about it over the years too. Some of the backup quarterbacks that have, led teams technically were backup quarterbacks. Kurt Warner with the Rams. If Trent Green doesn't get hurt and Kurt Warner gets a shot, heck, even Tom Brady was a backup, or even Favre. I know that's kind of really getting in the weeds, but yeah, Nick Foles. I mean, that year, the Nick Foles year, the Philadelphia Eagles is, I know where you're getting at here, Steve, because, Carson Wentz, there was a really good chance he was going to be the MVP that year. Tears his ACL, and towards the end of the season, middle season, whatever it was. And then you throw in your backup quarterback, Nick Foles, and then you go and win a Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. So, yeah, how long has it felt like for Packers fans have we kind of clamored for a, quote, established or veteran backup quarterback? I feel like it's been a lot, and I think Malik Willis kind of opened the eyes for a lot of us as Packers fans too, to be like, man, it's kind of nice to have that backup quarterback. It's a little bit different, a little bit different style of play and such, but to be able to go in there with a confidence that, because, and I don't think this is a knock on Jordan Love, but when Jordan Love got hurt or missed time, were we confident with Malik Willis? Heck yeah, I think we were. Absolutely. And we'll see if Tyrod Taylor can. Well, first of all, I think let's be real here too. We don't want to see Tyrod Taylor probably in the regular season, right? I think that's the first thing. We don't want to see Tyrod Taylor, because if that means we see well, let me rephrase that. We don't want to see Tyrod Taylor unless it's garbage time and doing victory formations. That's the only time I want to see Tyrod Taylor, is victory formations. But I like the move. And does it make them a Super Bowl contender? Is it that type of move? No. And I don't want to come off, saying, oh, this is going to carry them to the Super Bowl. It's a great insurance move. It's a great, insurance policy just to be able to have a veteran like that to come in. And I think that was such a downfall for the longest time in Green Bay, specifically with Aaron Rodgers. I felt like they kind of took that spot for granted. We're just going to have Graham Harrell be the guy, or we're going to have Tim Boyle be the guy. Just kind of go all season in 2013 preseason, then bring in Seneca Wallace right before the season begins. And I know it worked with Malik Willis and such, but still, it felt like a lot of times they took that for granted and didn't really, prioritize it. And I'm glad Green Bay in the last couple of years now has changed that a little bit, has changed that mindset. Like, okay, we know it's important. We know it's kind of crucial to our team. It's just to have that insurance option. Don't want to see it. It's exactly like insurance, probably, right? You don't want to have to use it at times, but it's nice to know that you have it in case you need to use it. But we'll talk some more green and gold and such, and I want to get your. If you didn't see any of the quotes, Adam Sinovich also talked yesterday too, so it's kind of coordinator day for the green and gold. But from what you heard or read, what's your first impressions from Jonathan Gannon and Cam, special teams coordinator Cam? So we'll get to some green and gold here, or more green and gold chat coming up here in just a little bit. But I do want to talk a little Brewers here to open up things. Last night they did fall to the Cardinals, a 6-3 game. Chad Patrick only going 3 1/3 in his performance last night. So Brewers dug themselves a little bit of an early hole here. Cardinals putting up 1 in the bottom of the second, then those 3 runs in the fourth that kind of really put it out. Really kind of, I don't want to say full on put it out of reach, but it was tough for the Brewers to kind of overcome last night. They tried to make it a little bit close there to ninth, but 11 total hits for the Brewers, just not able to get transition those or turn those into a bunch of runs for the team. But Jackson Chourio last night, I mean, dude looked like he didn't look like a guy that made his season debut last night. A perfect from the plate. 4 for 4. Also a walk. Run scored. Between him and Turang, of the 11 hits, 7 of them came from Chourio and Bryce Turang. Chourio batting in that 2 spot, Turang in the 3 spot. I mean, Jackson looked confident. He looked, I think that's probably the best word to describe it. He looked confident. He looked comfortable. He looked awesome at the plate last night. And the amount, or the way the ball was coming off of his bat, these are some of the numbers. This was according to Adam McCulvey last night. His first hit, that double, 108 miles per hour off the bat. 103 miles per hour single. 106 mile per hour single. Then a walk, then 109 miles per hour double. That ball was coming off. I mean, dude was, I hope that's a sign of really good things to come from Jackson Chourio from the offensive side this year, because, he was awesome last night. And, we'll see him again tonight as it's game 2 with this series against the Cardinals. And we've got Brandon Sproat on the mound for the Brew Crew. Now, Sproat's coming off of a loss against the Diamondbacks back on the 29th, where he went 4 1/3. He gave up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, and a couple of walks. So looking for a little bit of a bounce-back game here. And obviously when you look at the matchups here, from the offensive side of things, no experience with this Cardinals lineup going up against Brandon Sproat. Now, on the other hand, they've got Andre going for the Cardinals, who's 3-2 so far this year with a 3.73 ERA. He's coming off of a win against Pittsburgh, where he went 6 innings, 5 hits, just 1 earned run, and struck out 6. Brewers batters have a little bit of experience going up against him. Contreras and Turang by far the most. Turang in 13 career at-bats is hitting .385 against the righty with an .847 OPS. Contreras in 12 career at-bats does have a homer, .250, .891 OPS. Jackson Chourio In 5 career at-bats, has 3 RBIs. He's hitting .600 against him, 1.727 OPS. Garrett Mitchell in 5 career at-bats is hitting .400 with a .900 OPS. So, yeah, you got a little bit of experience. My guy, Sal Frelick's got 3 RBIs and 9 at-bats, but just 111 and a .495 OPS against him. So, hey, you got a few guys with a couple games or a few games worth of experiences going up against him. So I think it's going to be, can the offense give some support to Sproat? And can Sproat, the biggest thing for me, can he limit some of those mistakes, whether it's walks, issuing those free passes? I mean, you kind of look at his numbers here, and they're not like awful by any means, but a couple walks he's averaging in each outing and such. You just like to see him limit some of the mistakes. And opponent's batting average, it's gotten better. But right now, so far in all of his games, in 6 games of appearances, opponent's batting average are .262 against him. And he has given up at least 4 hits per game, which may not sound like a lot, but again, this is a guy that's only gone 3 innings, 3 2/3, 3 2/3. That game against Toronto, easily his best performance, 6 2/3, and then 5 1/3 and 4 1/3. So pitch counts are kind of up there too. So be interested to see, and I know with the injuries to Brandon Woodruff, it's kind of a moot point here in that, but where's that line for a guy like Brandon Sproat when you got a Logan Henderson now, who is now on the Major League club? But is he going to stay there when everybody gets healthy? Is Brandon Sproat a guy that's maybe, the odd man out where he gets sent down? You look at Chad Patrick here a little bit too, not to overreact from last night's game, but when everybody's healthy, I think they're going to make some tough decisions, because I think I want Logan Henderson to stay with the ball club. I want him. I think he deserves to be on there. If we talk about, just to throw a little Packers comparison in here, when Matt LaFleur says the 5 best will play, well, who are the 5 best starting pitchers in this rotation that we've seen thus far for the Brewers? I think Logan Henderson is a part of that 5. So I think, a guy like Brandon Sproat might be sort of pitching for his spot in the rotation here. He's got good stuff, and I'm not ready to give up on him. Nowhere near that, and I don't want to come off, kind of saying that. It's just right now, I think Logan Henderson's a better option. All right, we got to take a quick break. Plenty more to get to here, though. If you want to chime in on some Brewers or some Green and Gold, feel free to do so. We'll be right back after these quick words. Sunshine road trips and summer adventures are calling. Is your vehicle ready? At AJM Automotive in Eau Claire, they'll make sure that you hit the road with confidence. From AC checks and oil changes to brakes and full inspections, AJM Automotive has you covered before the heat kicks in. With 2 convenient Eau Claire locations, expert service is always just around the corner, so don't let car trouble slow down your summer plans. Schedule your appointment today by visiting ajmautomotiveservices.com. AJM Automotive, keeping you cool, safe, and road trip ready all summer long. Hey, maybe you're getting set to do a little road trip to watch some Blue Gold softball with the WIAC Conference Tournament and such. Make sure you get your vehicle in at AJM Automotive for that quick oil change. Just a nice little look-see over, too, so to make sure that your vehicle is prepared to hit the road. So, again, Brewers back at it tonight, 6:45 first pitch here for the Brew Crew. Just with Brewers now 4.5 back, with the Cubbies beating the Reds last night. The Cardinals now in second place in the NL Central, and that's kind of where my confession is at this point. One of my sports confessions on this Tuesday confessional is, forgive me, sports baseball gods, and that I didn't think the Cardinals were going to do anything this year. Now, I know it's a long season, and there's a lot of baseball left to be played here. But the Cardinals right now, 21-14, they are 7-1 against teams who are 500 or better. All right, so it's not like it's just been a cakewalk of an early schedule here for the Cardinals. But forgive me, I should never, ever, I don't care what the roster looks like. I don't care about any of that. I should never, ever, ever take the Cardinals for granted. There's too much history there of just kind of overlooking them and not giving them any, type of credit or whatever we want to say. But it's just like, gosh darn it, the Cardinals again. Now, it could be completely different when we get to the 4th of July or after the All-Star break, whatever benchmark that you want to use here. And it very well could happen. But as of right now, of these games, of these 35 games that we have to look at here for the Cardinals, I must confess, they are doing a lot better than I thought they were going to do. I didn't give them any sort of credit. I didn't give them any sort of praise or anything like this. Did not expect it. I overlooked them a little bit, at least in the early goings here. So that's kind of where I'm at. And we are approaching, just from a Brewer standpoint, just to give you a little bit, kind of a little bit of a heads up here. We are approaching already the conclusion of the first quarter of the season. So Brewers-wise, we're about 21% of the way through the season already. So we are closing in on that first quarter of the season. We'll probably, we're going to get to it. It looks like next week if we do the proper math in that. So start to think about when we get to these points in a season. We do this a lot, right? First quarter grades, first quarter assessments, progress reports, report cards, whatever you want to call it. So that's going to be something I kind of want to dive into coming up next week here for the Brewers. But we're approaching that, and I'll kind of throw it out there again. We did it at the beginning of the season, like the first week of the season. But when do you stop saying for Major League Baseball? When do you stop saying it's early? Is it Memorial Day weekend? Is it Father's Day weekend? I'm just trying to think of, some benchmarks here. Is it Mother's Day weekend? Is it 4th of July? At what points do you kind of stop to say it's early? When you talk about the baseball season, when you look at standings and records and performance from players, what's kind of that benchmark, or what's that point that you kind of stop saying, it's early yet? I think everybody's got a different date in mind. And honestly, for me, I probably go to I'd probably go around Memorial Day weekend. Now, it's still Memorial Day weekend still kind of early. That's going to sound weird. Still kind of early in that point, but I mean, I feel like if you get to the first quarter of the season or you're into the second quarter of the season, I feel like you kind of know a trend. You kind of know some of the makeup of your team. And it's not to say you can't improve, right? I mean, it's like, okay, 4 quarters in an academic year, let's say. First quarter, your grades are, yuck, you need improvement. You need to get better. You got to get better in this area. You got to get better. And you can. And that's not to say after the first quarter, if we stop saying it's, early and such, you can get better. You can go on these runs. You can have that great quarter where you make the honor roll or whatever. But at what point do you kind of stop to say, all right, I can't. It's like saying Happy New Year after 2 weeks of the new year. You just okay, stop saying that. Baseball's a little bit different because of the 162 game schedule. Football, NFL wise, we could probably say after the first few weeks of the season, because there's not a lot of games. There's not a lot of a lot of weeks to play around with. You can't. Every week really matters in the NFL because of just those 17 games. It's definitely different though with baseball. Some of the moves yesterday regarding the Brewers to call up Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn was, no probably big surprises with a lot of these moves. But Blake Perkins optioned to Nashville. Greg Jones designated for assignments. The one move that we kind of were wondering, is it going to happen? It was Cooper Pratt. Was Cooper Pratt going to be called up? Well, according to Adam McCulvey last night, we found out the reason why he was scratched for Sunday's game in Nashville. It was because he had a sore foot. So there was a little bit of an injury element to it. It's not expected to sideline him long. But yeah, I was one of them too. Like, hey, are we going to see Cooper Pratt suit up at the major league level and maybe try to give a little boost to the left side of that infield? Nope, not going to be the case. So we are going to, at least as of right now, continue to roll with David Hamilton, Joey Ortiz, and Luis Rengifo over at third and short. Yep, I was disappointed too to see that. So it's still going to come, right? I mean, do you think it's going to happen by June 1st? Are we going to get Cooper Pratt up by June 1st? Are we going to get Joe Williams up by June 1st? Are we going to get any of these guys up that can help the left side of the infield? At any point are we going to get? I mean, I know we're putting a lot on the shoulders of those guys, but man, I mean, I think you look at Joey Ortiz here. You look at, okay, his last couple of years, third base, his first season playing third base offensively. I would take that offensive production from Joey Ortiz in a heartbeat right now. And last year, going over to short, nobody's questioning the defense, but the offense was a lot left to be desired. But you kept him in the lineup because of the defense. You look at this year now, too. Now he's like not even a for sure thing to be in the starting lineup just because of his defense. I mean, he is on some incredibly thin ice. They're trying anything to try to get something from that position. Joey Ortiz has 7. Let's just kind of look at some of the games. He didn't even play last night. Just a couple of at-bats on the third against Washington. Didn't play on the fourth. If that doesn't kind of tell you where he's at on the pecking order and the confidence scale with Pat Murphy right now, I don't know what to tell you. His time is running out. There's no question. You just look at the amount of games, the amount of at-bats that he's having, and the times that he's in the starting lineup. Time's running out. I really feel like he's got 28 games that he's appeared in. David Hamilton has appeared in 29 games. David Hamilton has 13 more at-bats than him. For crying out loud, Brandon Lockridge has 10 more at-bats than Joey Ortiz. No. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. And I don't know how much longer you can go with this. All right, let's take our final break in the first quarter. We'll be back to wrap up the first quarter after these quick words. Summer is right around the corner, and that means it is time to freshen up your home from the ground up with Carpet City Flooring Center. Whether you're hosting some backyard get-togethers or opening the doors to family and friends or just getting ready for a seasonal refresh, new flooring can completely transform your space. From soft, comfortable carpet to durable luxury vinyl planks, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire has everything you need to bring your vision to life. And it's not just about the looks; it's about the quality that you could count on and the expert guidance that you're given every single step of the way. their team is ready to help you find the perfect fit for your style, your needs, and your budget. So before summer officially kicks off, make sure that your home is ready to shine. Stop on in to Carpet City Flooring Center today and take the first step towards a space that you will love all season long. We'll switch gears and talk a little football coming up in the next hour here, but if you haven't had a chance to chime in yet, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, thumbs down. Tyrod Taylor, your new backup quarterback in Green Bay. Spit it out, damn. So your thoughts on that? We're going to hear from Jonathan Gannon. First time talking to the media as Packers defensive coordinator. Also hear from new special teams coordinator Cam Achord too. So we'll, if you had a chance to listen or maybe kind of read some of their comments and quotes and that, what were some of your first impressions? What were some of your first impressions? Let me know. All right? Let me know. So we'll get to that coming up in the next hour. Don't forget, it is also a Toys in Florida Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what in the world is grinding your gears, peeps? Get it off your chest. It is about a feel-good Tuesday because it is also a sports confession Tuesday. So what are you confessing? I'm confessing as of right now, as we approach the first quarter of the season, I confess I overlooked the Cardinals. I didn't give them any credit. I thought they were going to stink this year, and so far, they've been really impressive. So, got to tip my cap. As painful as that is. All right. So, also, it is I'm not saying, but I'm just saying Tuesday. Best ones I'll read up on the air. Fill in the blanks. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. All right. So, speaking of tipping the cap, I got to tip my cap to Anthony Edwards, man. Just that dude, what he was able to do last night, come back to, really push to play, did come off the bench, but, man, what a spark in the T-Wolves. Stealing home court from the Spurs last night. So if you're a T-Wolves fan, you're probably feeling pretty pumped right now, and why wouldn't you be? You got Anthony Edwards back. You'd steal home court advantage, game 1. They got to be playing with a ton of confidence right now. A ton of confidence. So, yeah, I got to hand it to them. It's feeling kind of similar. Not fully there, but it does have some sort of Bucks 2021 vibes here a little bit. And obviously I'm talking about, with Giannis, with his knee bruise and knee injury, and then him coming back and that sort of thing. But, well, still a long season yet, or long series yet, so we'll see how it goes here. But Wild fans are probably getting pumped for tonight, hoping that their team can even up this series against the Colorado Avalanche. So that puck will, for Game 2 will drop tonight. So we got a few more texts here. This is from Ben. Ben saying, really excited to see Jackson Chourio hit the cover off the ball last night. He was tattooing that thing. Hopefully he is a spark that can get this offense going. Another texter, Tim, says, definitely agree that I overlooked the Cardinals and I should know better because we should never, ever, ever overlook the Cardinals. We'll get back to some more of your messages here in just a little bit. We'll wrap it up with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, Kasper, what's the latest?
I got nothing. How about you?
You always got something.
I got nothing.
We're gonna do some quick hit grind my gears stuff that you can answer in whatever way that you want to.
Okay.
Homework, waste of time or good investment after school?
Well, I never did it, so waste of time.
Okay, why not? Were you one of those kids who never had any, or you just?
Oh, I had them. I crammed it in the morning before.
Oh, okay. Because you strike me as a get it done kind of guy.
I've changed that way, and now I do homework. No, I was always very last minute.
What was your least favorite subject in school?
Math.
By far?
Oh, yeah.
Still?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, same. I don't understand people that like math. No. It doesn't add up.
Nope.
This is very sketchy. Social media, making us less social or more social?
Less.
Okay, so here's the phenomenon, I think. Do you have noticed this maybe with like Hudson and the younger generation? They don't have like best friends, or does he?
No, I would agree with that.
Because I feel like, Siggy, you growing up, you had a best friend. Now, whether or not that was just because you lived in the middle of the country and there were limited options for kids, so you found a best friend and you stuck with it, or if it was because you hung out, you were forced to hang out. I feel like kids now, they'll just have the phone on and just chat casually or set the phone up and go about their day and people are there. And I think they count that as interaction, but it's not the same as hanging out in person.
I could buy that.
So do you think it's a benefit or a detriment to have social media in your life? Because
I
in
still
some
say
ways,
it's a detriment. Overall, if I had to pick one, I think it's a detriment.
versus hanging out in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yep.
You can't go on a bike ride over the phone.
Yeah,
that
go
kind
outside.
Of thing. What do we think about pineapple on pizza?
No.
What?
Nope.
Ever?
Nope.
Drugs. Should all drugs be legalized?
No.
What should be legalized?
I have no idea.
You're too old to see what's in style.
With my wife's job, I'm going to say no. So,
Okay, what about this? Should schools ban mobile phones?
yes.
Completely ban?
Yes.
What about the argument that you need to be in touch with your kids?
No.
Okay.
Trust your teachers.
Should umpires talk to the crowd?
Yeah. Tell them to knock it off.
Okay, so I only say this because we were in Somerset last night for a game, and the umpire was, for lack of a better word, like sort of charming, like was turning around and interacting with the crowd, not like stand up, like waka waka waka, but was interactive enough that it became kind of fun to have an umpire like that. And he was one of the super boisterous Blues where like when he said strike, it was like from the gut. It was kind of fun. I was just wondering, do you think that that's appropriate? Like, do you like when refs and umps do that, or do you like to keep it on the court?
No, I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. So, all right. Thanks,
Little show
Morgs.
action.
Yeah,
You bet.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back after these news updates. All right, here we go. Second hour kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning. It is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. What the heck is grinding your gears? We got one from C-Bomb we'll get to here in a minute, but you can hit us up with yours, 715-830-1912, or in the Section 105 chat. We talked a lot of Brewers in that first hour. The Brew Crew falling to the Cardinals last night. Game 2 tonight. Brandon Sproat on the mound. We did see Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn make their well, I should not make their debut because, well, it did for Chourio, not Vaughn, but Jackson Chourio looked really dang good last night. So hopefully that could carry over into Game 2 and for the full-on season here. So, but we'll get back to some more Brewers talk coming up a little bit later on. We've got some Badgers catching up with RJ Cardinal next hour down in Badgerland. So we'll talk a little bit about that. It is also a Sports Confession Tuesday. So what's your sports confessions? Send them on over. Also, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Fill in the blank. Best ones we'll read up on the air. We got some Packers chat coming up here as well. Packers bringing in a brand new backup quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. You like it? You like the signing? Joe likes it. Smart move by the Packers, money and experience-wise, he says, on our Section 105 chat room. Barb over there also said, going back to the Brewers, Mitchell's just about catch. What a try. Sal's slide into first base. They definitely wanted that game. But do you like the Tyrod Taylor signing? And then some first impressions. We're going to hear a little bit from Jonathan Gannon. It was his, I guess we could call it introductory presser, finally, with the Packers as defensive coordinator. So also Cam Acord chatted a little bit with the media. So we're going to hear from them, and I want to get your impressions from them. But C-Bomb, to kick off the second hour, says, it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. Here's what's grinding my gears today. People, if you want to drive 48 miles an hour on a 2-lane highway, that is fine. But when you see a row of 15 vehicles behind you, move over and let them pass. For the love of Pete, we'll say, people have no awareness of their surroundings. Get it off your chest, peeps. What else do you got for a little Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday? All right. Let's just jump right to it, shall we? Let's chat a little green and gold here. So Jonathan Gannon, we got to hear from him a little bit yesterday. In case you didn't hear him, I'll play a little bit of that for you from his press conference yesterday. He talked about style, defense. He wants to play, what maybe a Jonathan Gannon defense is going to look like for the Pack and such. So, you know what? Let's just play it. All right, this was from Jonathan Gannon's presser yesterday, chatting with the Green Bay media for the first time.
What does a Jonathan Gannon defense look like here?
Well, we'll find out, huh? I'm excited. I'm really big into play style, as Matt is, and the game is about the ball. So, you got to find ways to take it away, and our job is to get Jordan back on the field as quick as we can. So schematic and technical execution and play fast.
What do you prefer? Do you stand up your edges all the time? And what qualities do you like to see in those guys? Will you sacrifice some pass rush to get a 265-pound guy out there? Are you okay with guys in their 240s?
That's a little bit player dependent, honestly. I mean, our edge guys be able to affect a passer from a rush standpoint, be able to set a firm edge and a little bit of drop when we need them to, but stance that can be predicated on the guy and by call, honestly. I do like standing our guys up at times because it gives them some vision, but it'll be kind of player dependent.
You got the players in the building now, but what have the last couple months been like for you learning about the skill sets and then also getting your defense familiarized with the coaches?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fun process. It really has. Matt's been awesome, having to go through that process with him. But a lot of new coaches. Obviously, some coaches were here. So just the hiring and onboarding of those guys, putting the kind of the playbook together has been a really cool thing. And then just studying our players, and I think, we've done a pretty good job, Matt, I love how he did kind of the off season. Like we watched all the tape, and it's like, let's look at each guy and see what one or two things they can get better at that we want them to be mindful of as they get back in the building now, as we go through phase 2 and OTAs. And that's what the game is about, improving the players, you know. So it's been a fun, cool process. A lot of energy, that's for sure. So we'll see. We finally got on the grass today with them, which was cool. So we got 3 weeks of that. And we'll just keep it day by day.
For you, what's it like to walk into a building and know you have Micah Parsons to work with? Then at the same time, know you probably won't have him for a little bit and you don't get to play with that toy just yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited about working with all our players, honestly. Obviously, Micah's, a really good player, and that's going to be fun. But we got a lot of good players. So it's been, just take it day by day, and we're trying to improve all our players, and we're fitting it in, and it's been cool, I think, for them. It's new for everybody, and, the questions in the meeting rooms and on the grass, it's really cool to see that.
That said, are you planning to be super creative with Micah? Have you spent a lot of time designing things that you wouldn't have with different personnel because you have Micah?
Yeah, I think, part of, if you talked about scheme, it's like I believe in who do you have and who you're playing, and try to align your people to affect the game in a positive way. So he's obviously a piece that we're going to be mindful of when we're putting together, the scheme, and especially when you get to game planning.
Jonathan, speaking of scheme, I was reading a story when you got to Philly where Sirianni asked you what your scheme was, and you told him, I don't have a scheme. Mm-hmm. That story's true?
It is.
Obviously you have plenty of ideas, but what was kind of the point? It sounds like that's kind of...
Yeah, the point is that, Matt, same thing, honestly. The point is the game's it adapts, right? And I don't really get caught up into 4-3, 3-4. We're an NFL style defense, hopefully, right? And I just believe that you got to continually every year try to adapt and solve problems and really with your guys in mind, right? So this is a whole new crew for me that we're just getting to learn. All new different players, so that's kind of what I mean by that. But there's some principles that, there's some things that I like to do, but it's only if our players can do it. I told them the other day, I was like, if we're not good at this just because I like it, we're not going to do it, so that's our job. We got to put them in the best positions possible that they feel comfortable that they can go out and play the game. And, before scheme, I truly believe it's not what you play, it's how you play. And that goes into, Matt calls it play style. I love that. So that's been cool with our guys to define that for them. Here's the expectation. Here's what you're accountable for. We're all accountable for it. Because I think that's what a good defense looks like, a fast, violent, physical team that takes the ball away.
Was Nick taken aback by that?
No, he probably laughed. He says, you better get one, But no, it's obviously a really good relationship with Nick, but that's what I meant by that.
All right, so that's just a little bit from Jonathan Gannon's presser yesterday. Kind of got now. Let's before we get too deep into it. Obviously, this is a presser. It's talk, and I'm sure there's a lot of people say talk is cheap, right? Got to actually do it on the field. Because you're probably listening to some of that stuff. You hear fast, violent, physical team that takes the ball away. Thing that I keep saying over the years as you adapt to the players, you don't pigeonhole, you don't put a square peg into a round hole. You put players in a position to succeed, which is exactly what you hear. That's the stuff I want to hear, right? That's the stuff we like to hear. There's some stuff like, all right, cool, yeah. But we got to see it on the field, right? So we know that. But given what you have heard from just a little bit, that was just a small sample size from new Packers defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon. First impressions, your thoughts. All right, let's talk about that coming up here a little bit, and we'll get to Cam and special teams coordinator Cam Acord here in a little bit. But wanted to play a little bit to get your thoughts and give you some time to send over what you think. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk some more green and gold, including the new backup quarterback. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Dings, dents, or something more serious? Hey, don't stress about it. Just head on over to Superior Auto Body. From minor touch-ups to major collision repair, they're your go-to team for getting your vehicle back to looking like new. With experienced technicians and attention to every detail, Superior Auto Body takes pride in doing the job done right the first time. So when life happens to your vehicle, trust the team Eau Claire drivers rely on. That's Superior Auto Body, your go-to place for all of your auto body needs. So we got to hear from Jonathan Gannon yesterday. Played a little bit of that, just a very small portion of what he had to say and kind of his introductory presser, really, because it's the first time he's talked to the Packers media and such. But and again, I know it's talk is cheap. Got to see the results on the field and such. But I think the one thing I really want to focus on is where he has said multiple times he doesn't have a scheme. And I think a lot of times, and this is just me being an armchair quarterback in this whole thing, okay? I'm just like all of you at this point. When you look at the current state of the NFL and the style of play, I don't think you can just kind of maybe really pigeonhole yourself into this is what we're going to play. This is the style. I think you have to be adaptable, and I think you have to be versatile in a lot of those aspects. You could have elements for sure, because I think you have to start from somewhere. And I think you have to have elements of what you want to do. But I also think you have to be able to adjust, adapt offenses. I mean, you look at it, whether it's a Shanahan offense or maybe like a Mike McCarthy offense or gosh, remember the Chip Kelly style of offense. I feel, or Andy Reid, if you will. There's different variations of offenses. West Coast, no huddle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever you want to do, there's so many different variations that I think from a defensive standpoint, you have to be able to be versatile and adaptable in trying to stop so many different styles of offenses, whether it's a run-first offense or whether it's a pass-heavy offense, an offense that really features their tight end compared to a boatload of receivers, or maybe they just will turn it around and hand the ball off 50 times, or they got a mobile quarterback that they utilize in their game planning. There's so many variations to offenses that I think right now to be a successful NFL defense, you have to be adaptable. You have to be versatile. So just to flat out say, we are a 4-3 defense, and this is how we're going to play, or we are a straight-up 3-4. All right, this is how we're going. I think you have to have. You can have a basis, and you can have elements of a style of defense, but you also have to have that versatility. And I think a lot of times we as fans, and I'm guilty of it too, we get so caught up in scheme and style of defense that really, when you look at it, it's more complex than that. And I think to be successful, you've got to be able to do a bunch of different things, because there is so many different things now when you look at it across the league of how offenses are being constructed. You got these, they're kind of like mad scientists in a lab, but they got their marker boards and their whiteboards and all that, they're trying to come up with creative plays and all that. And from a defensive standpoint, you're trying to counter that. You're trying to stop that. So I think you have to have that versatility to be able to do that. So to hear, I guess the point I'm getting at is when you hear Jonathan Gannon say, I don't have a scheme. I don't have a scheme. I think that's what he's getting at. That's the point he's trying to say here is we're going up against these offenses now in 2026 where they could do so many different things, and they're so creative and they're so versatile that to be a successful defense, we have to have that same ability. We have to have that same mindset. So we may have elements of a 3-4 where we have our guys standing up, our edge rusher standing up, but we got to be able to do different things to stop these offenses, to be a successful defense in the National Football League. So I know there was just kind of, it gets to be a dark place in social media and such, and there was people kind of like, what do you mean you don't have a scheme? He doesn't have a game plan and all. Stop. All right? That's not what he's saying. That's not what the point is. No. And I think it's just you have to be able to be adaptable. You have to be able to be open. And, a couple other things he said that I didn't play on there, but he did talk about, the defensive line saying, quote, "I do think it's a big man's game, especially late in the year. That matters. So you have to have size." And we know that is one area that Green Bay has to be better at, is stopping the run. And look at last year. It was towards the end of the season, right, where you kind of saw some holes in the running game and stopping the run, beefing up that defensive line, right? That's when you want your defensive line to be playing its best football, when the weather kind of turns a little bit, it gets a little bit cold, and maybe teams want to try to run the ball a little bit more. That's when you want your defensive line to be playing at its highest levels in those late games and dictating the line of scrimmage. You want your defense to kind of be at that point where they're dictating what you can do from an offensive standpoint. You want them to control the line of scrimmage. But he also said, too, with, obviously Micah Parsons was a big topic of conversation. But he said he met Micah, who was in Green Bay rehabbing on his initial interview in January. Also said Jordan Love's presence on the roster was a major reason this job was attractive. He said, quote, "When you get those things right, you have a chance to win." So, again, overall, it's a lot of talk. And for a lot of people, talk is cheap. Prove it on the field. Go out there and prove it on the field. I think the one thing, and I might be overplaying this, and I probably am for a little bit, but you look at the division that Jonathan Gannon was a head coach for the last couple of years. It was the Arizona Cardinals. The other teams within that division, the defending champs, Seattle Seahawks, 49ers, Sean McVay. And it's all about, I think your first goal is you got to stop. You got to win your division. You got to be able to win your division games. But to have that experience that he did as a head coach and game planning for teams like the Seahawks, like the 49ers, and the Rams, especially those offenses from, those teams, I think that is going to be a benefit for this defense, that, game planning for those styles of offenses. Because you look at within this division, the NFC North, it starts with Ben Johnson and the Bears offense, right? Creative, versatile. Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. Kyler Murray. Where was Kyler Murray at? Under Jonathan Gannon in Arizona. But Kevin O'Connell is Sean McVay disciple, right? Lions, they've got a new offensive coordinator, but they may be going back to a little bit of the Ben Johnson era. And who's their offensive coordinator? Oh, it was the Cardinals' offensive coordinator under Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing. So that experience that Gannon is bringing from, coaching in that division, going up against those offenses, and then, you look at the NFC North, I think he's in a position from that experience standpoint to put his defense, to put this Packers defense in a good spot. At least it is wishful thinking. It is. Let's be real. It's a lot of wishful thinking. But I think when we look at it from a paper standpoint and look at what's in front of us and be like, okay, there's you could point to a lot of things and be like, okay, I like that. That's interesting. That's intriguing. And I think in the end, I'm optimistic about this. I'm going to choose to be optimistic about this. So how about Cam Akers, the special teams coordinator? Dude likes to talk. But I'm going to play a little bit from his presser because, again, this was kind of an introductory too. So he started off by kind of giving a little bit of a bio about himself to the media before he took some questions and such. So let's hear from Cam. And again, from a position, from a special teams unit that Packers fans want to see some improvement from.
Just real quick, just give you a quick bio about myself, and then we'll let you guys kind of open it up and start asking questions. Obviously, last 2 years been in New York, helping out there with the Giants. Prior to that was in New England, which you guys know. Prior to that was junior college in Mississippi, which I fall back on a lot because when you're coaching a lot of different things, you got to focus on a lot of different things, from doing the fields to equipment to every little ins and outs you can do. Obviously born and raised in Mississippi. Spent my life 32 years there, played small college ball in Jackson. Then I was blessed to get the opportunity to go to New England. So real quick spill, got a wife and a soon-to-be 3-year-old. So I know you guys want to get to doing football and everything too. So we'll let y'all open up with some questions and stuff.
So how does a guy make the jump from junior college to the NFL? How does that happen?
Yeah, relationships. So when I was at Southern Miss GA my last year there, Joe Judge spent February to the end of March there, who's going to coach the tight ends and do special teams. So I got to know him there. So basically going in on the weekends from 6 a.m. to call it 10, 11 o'clock at night, just watching all this Alabama film because he just came from Alabama. And then he got the call to go be Scotty O's assistant in New England. And so when he left, we just stayed in touch, communicated. I'd watch a lot more New England games then. I go back to like the Super Bowl they played in. I take a picture of him talking to Bill on the sideline. I send him a picture then. I was like, hey, you're about to probably kick the onside kick, surprise onside kick there. Different things, but just communication and not really badgering the guy, but asking for advice here and there and just building a relationship. So to me, it doesn't matter whether you come in contact with somebody for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you're going to make an impression on them. So make sure you're making a good impression on somebody. Make sure they understand who you are and you're genuine. You'll hear me say that word a lot. I believe in being genuine. I tell our guys to be genuine. Genuine excitement. You'll see me at practice once you get out there and stuff. I'll move around a pretty good bit. But that's really how I got there. He called me, asked me if I wanted to interview. So I went up there and actually interviewed. Bill wasn't there at the time, so I had to go back. I actually became the head coach of the junior college for about a month and a half during that time. And I'm a very loyal person. So when Judge called me, he was like, hey, I want to re-interview you. Bill wants to be here. And I was like, I can't do it. So I initially turned the second interview down, but about 4 hours later, I called him back and said, what am I thinking? So went up there, I got the interview, and Bill offered me the job that day. So that's how I ended up here.
Cam, how much influence did you have on your team getting Trace Mack?
It was a collaborative effort, kind of like Goody, Matt kind of alluded to. You give your opinion to those guys. You tell them where you kind of feel like guys are, where they will be, what they'll be in the future. To me, when you're projecting guys, you're not just projecting their first year, you're projecting what they can be in year 2, 3, 4. So you give your opinion to those guys, you say what you're convicted in, and then, obviously they make those decisions, but you're obviously giving your input.
What about him stood out to you?
Straight ball, accuracy. His ball doesn't move a lot. For me, I don't need a guy, and I've been blessed to coach a lot of guys that are really good. I don't need a guy that can kick 65 yards personally. I want the guy that's going to put it through consistently from 58, 55. Because, again, we're playing in Green Bay, whether I was coaching in New England, coaching in MetLife, we're going to play in elements. And, you're not going to need the 60-yard ball all the time. You're going to need the 45-yard ball with a 14-mile-an-hour crosswind. So his ball not moving and stuff like that was definitely a big part for me.
How much of a thing is the Florida kicker learning how to kick in Green Bay? Is there more made of that than it should be, or is that something that you do have to actually transition to the core when you're with it?
For me personally, I think it's more made of than it is. I mean, just think about the history here, right? Ryan Longwell, Oregon, Cal, pretty good here, right? Mason Crosby, Texas, Colorado, pretty good here. I was blessed to coach Stephen Gostkowski, Mississippi, Memphis, New England, Nick Folk, California, Arizona, kicked pretty good at MetLife, kicked pretty well. So to me, I think it's a little bit more made up of the cold elements than there probably really is to it. To me, it's more about their mindset and learning how to play their ball in the wind and the elements than it is actually the cold weather and those things. I mean, we're going to go kick cold footballs to practice. We practice outside. So we'll get used to that. Many times we can be outside or kick or be in Lambeau and kick, the better we're going to be.
The Giants were a good kickoff return team last year. What's the key to being successful under this new format in terms of kickoff return?
First is buy-in. Having guys that want to do it. That's the biggest thing, and having a plan for those guys, and attacking it every day. You know, it's the little things. I tell the guys we're going to focus every day. It's the attention to details. It's the can't win till you keep from losing mindset. Don't commit penalties. We're not going to want to start our offense inside the 30-yard line ever, you know. Our goal is to get out past that, but it's each other knowing, understanding. I tell the guys all the time, we want to consistently hit singles. If you use a baseball analogy, you know, we're going to hit the singles. We're going to hit the singles, and then sooner or later that pitcher's going to groove one, and we're going to knock it out the park. So it's the consistent thing, and it's doing those little things over and over and over. But it starts with the fundamentals and the techniques. You'll hear me say that a good bit. It's the fundamentals, it's the hand placement, it's the blocking leverage, it's the returner knowing the tracks he has to run. It's all tied together. But I think it's for our guys understanding the concept and then the belief and knowing, all right, as long as I do my job, it's going to set up everyone else out on the field.
All right, so that's, again, just a little bit from Cam. Dude's got energy. That was kind of the first thing that popped out to me yesterday. Dude brings some energy. He's got that. There's a couple of things he also said that stood out to me. But we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to hit that up. Coming up after these quick words. Summer is almost here, and that means it's time to hit the road in something that you love. At Toys at Ford, you'll find a great selection of new and pre-owned vehicles ready for every adventure. Looking for power, comfort, reliability? They've got it all, backed by a team that's committed to making your car buying experience easy and stress-free. So whether it's a weekend getaway or your daily drive, make sure that you're riding in style this summer. Toys at Ford, Chip Falls, where your next journey begins. Speaking of which, I am so ready for some baseball game. I should say, I love your phrase. I'm so ready for some express games for this summer. Carson Park, Van Dyke and that. Man, chilly temperatures last night at baseball, coaching baseball with the wind and the cold. It's like, we got another game tonight. That's why I'm on my fourth cup of coffee, third cup, whatever the heck it is. So, but I'm ready to just kind of kick back and watch some baseball at Carson Park for some express games on that fan deck. But speaking of energy, so talked a little bit about, or we heard from Cam, the new special teams coordinator for the Packers. Apparently, that's a guy I was reading a little bit too from Billy Huber, who covers the Packers, and little nugget there. The reason he's got a lot of energy here too is apparently this was from an article back in 2020. Cam says he usually drinks 6 or 7 coffees followed by 3 Pepsis per day. Bill followed that up and said that, he asked Cam about it, said, quote, "I've tried to cut back. I would say now that I'm down to about 3 to 4 cups of coffee, and I've cut out the sodas. So I'm probably down to 3 or 4 coffees, 2 before, and then maybe 1 or 2 after. About 2 o'clock, I'll have 1 every day, but I'm naturally a high-energy person anyways." So, but, a couple things from Cam that stood out to me. One, I don't know if he was ready or prepared for that question about a Florida kicker coming up to Green Bay and kicking in the elements, but the fact that he could name drop the colleges, first of all, name drop Ryan Longwell, Mason Crosby a little bit more recent and such, but Ryan Longwell, Mason Crosby, and then the colleges that they went to make his point. I don't know if he was ready for that question, prepared for that, or he just kind of knew that. It's like, all right, I like the preparation. But the big thing is, too, when he talked about the return game, and I think it was a frustration point for a lot of Packers fans, especially last year, is when you have an all-pro kicker or kick returner like Keyshawn Nixon, he's not in there. And then you're throwing Josh Jacobs into a play-in or to a playoff game to return. Like, what's going on here? Where he mentioned you got to have players buying in. Starts there. They want to play that. They got to buy into that. 100% agree. Now it's up to Cam, and it's up to this team, and it's up to this coaching staff to get those players to buy in. And back in the day, and I don't think you really hear this as much anymore. You hear a little bit, but back in the day, you would always hear, best way for these players to get on the roster, these back-end roster, or these late rookies, you got to play special teams. You got to perform at special teams and that. And I feel like you don't hear it as much anymore. You hear a little bit drafts like, okay, this guy was drafted for special teams, but do the players buying into that? Is it a mindset now for these players? It's like, do they almost view it as like a negative? I don't want to play special teams. I want to be on the field and defense. I want to be on offense. I want to be making plays there. Got to have the buy-in from the players to do that. And you got to have the buy-in from returners, kick returners, to want to return that football, to want to be able to make plays. And I like the analogy he did with the baseball. Hey, we're going to hit singles. We're going to continue to hit singles. And then eventually that pitcher is going to groove one, and then we hit that home run. I like that analogy when it comes to special teams and the return unit. You're not going to be able to bust one open every return. You'd like to. You'd love to be able to say you're going to get a return every single time for a TD or a big return. But you're just kind of grinding it away, and you're doing the little things right. He mentioned not having your offense start within the 30. And how many times over the last couple of years was it a penalty where the offense, where Jordan Love and the Packers offense was starting within the 30, when the NFL has made it to where at the bare minimum you should be starting at the 30. There shouldn't be so many times where you're starting within the 30 because of a stupid penalty. And he talked about that. not having those penalties, not starting within the 30, putting your offense on a shorter field, for crying out loud. Give your offense the advantage. Don't make them go the distance the whole time. Don't make them go the length of the fields. There's no reason on kickoffs you should be starting like at the 20. Bare minimum, it should be that 30. Given the rules, given the return, like how they've adjusted this, that should be the minimum. That should be the mindset. And it starts by not having stupid penalties, doing your job, and getting players to buy in. And, if I go to camp this year, practices and such, you heard him. He seems like a high-energy guy. He talks about, when we get to practice, he's going to move around. I hope that energy kind of, the players buy into that. And I think to be, again, this is just me being an armchair quarterback in this thing. But I think to be a successful special teams coach and a special teams coordinator, to get those players to buy in, you've got to bring the energy. And you've got to bring that enthusiasm to the job. Because I think that's what's going to get those players to buy in. When you've got their coach, their coordinator, who's bringing that energy day in, day out. And it's hard, and it's probably why he's got to have 4, 5, 6 cups of coffee a day. But if you're a player and you're playing for a coach that's bringing that energy every single day, that's going to get you to buy in. That's going to get you excited to play on that special teams unit. Got to have that mindset. You got to be able to go out there and want to do it. And I'm sure there's probably some people, fans-wise, saying players should just automatically be, if they get to play the NFL. Yeah, you're probably right. But let's also face it, it's 2026. A lot of things have changed over the years too, right? Call it entitlement, call it whatever you want. The biggest thing in this thing for special teams to make a leap, to get better, to get improvement is the buy-in and doing the little things right. And it starts with the coordinator. It starts with Cam, and it starts with the coaching staff. Get those players to buy in, bring the energy, bring the enthusiasm. If you can get that, that's going to cover a lot. You just kind of wonder, with a lot of those stupid penalties, was it just players out there not buying in and just kind of like, all right, going out there, got to do my thing. Oh, there's a hold. Whatever. Got to bring the energy. I want to see a special teams unit that is just flying across the board. That when they make a tackle deep in the opponent's territory, they're jumping up, they're running around, they're pumped up, they're making a big play, they're physical. I want to see that from special teams. Can set the tone for a lot of things, right? Think about it. Let's say you're punting the ball away, all right? And we got a good punter. Daniel Whelan, pretty darn good punter. Let's say he gets it down there, and all of a sudden you got a big hit from a gunner. Get up, celebrate, get that thing going, get that team pumped up. Defense comes out there. You just gave your special teams unit just gave you some, deep in the offense's territory. Get out there and use that momentum. Offensively, you get a big return. That's going to spark the offense too. All right. Let's take a quick break. Your thoughts. We got to talk Tyrod Taylor yet, too. I know we talked a little bit about that in the first hour, but Packers got a brand new quarterback, or brand new backup quarterback. Oh, bump the brakes on that. Brand new backup quarterback. What do you think? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? 2 thumbs up? Let's hit that up as we close out the second hour. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. With it being Mother's Day coming up this weekend, of course, Hy-Vee's got some sales going on to help make your Mother's Day even more special. You got lots of low prices for mom. You got you check out the floral department. There's always gifts over there, or some bouquet of flowers and such, or maybe you can. I was looking at if you go to Hy-Vee's Facebook page right now. All right, they've got some prices on some floral arrangements over there, or maybe some chocolate-covered strawberries and such. This would be mostly for me and Hudson, but $3.99 Tombstone pizzas. Giddy up, load up the freezer there. Heck yeah, Medford Pride, man. So, but head on over to Hy-Vee's Facebook page, Hy-Vee and Eau Claire's Facebook page for the latest weekly flyer, weekly or daily deals, weekly deals. Going on. Plus, if you're looking for a spot for breakfast too, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the Market Grill, they serve breakfast daily from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. over at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Got a few minutes left to the top of the hour, so we'll save a little Tyrod Taylor talk coming up in the next hour, but I'll just say by a wide margin, y'all like it. Except for it looks like one texter doesn't. But from a wide margin, it's thumbs up. So, but we'll hit that up coming up in the next hour here. So, just to kind of deep dive into it a little bit more. It is a Toys of Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So, what is grinding your gears, peeps? Get it off your chest. Let us know. Also, what's your sports confessions? Okay, what's a confession sports wise that you would like to kind of maybe throw it out there and maybe take a load off your shoulders. So. It is also I'm not saying, but I'm just saying Tuesday. I'm not saying blank. I'm just saying blank. All right. Fill in the blanks. Best ones we'll read up on the air. So, and then coming up in about 25 minutes or so, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal, all things Badgers from Badgerland down in Madison. So we'll catch up with RJ here. And again, about 25 minutes or so. Brewers, we'll get back to some more Brewers chat as well as we get set for Game 2 of this series at 6:45 first pitch. You can listen to it on the radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Pregame coverage begins 35 minutes prior, so around 6:10. Around 6:10 tonight. Brandon Sproat is going to get the start for the Brew Crew. Jackson Chourio, in his season debut yesterday, was in fuego. 4 for 4. Also got a walk, but a couple doubles on there. And that ball was flying off of his bat. We're talking over 100 miles per hour. Over 100 miles per hour on each of those hits. It's like, dude was saving up for this moment, maybe taking some of that aggression out on the ball. It was fun to see. So, what does he have in store for us going forward, right? I know we're putting a lot into just one game, but it was good to see Jackson Chourio playing last night and seeing that offensive production from him too. So Andrew Vaughn also returned to the lineup as well. No Cooper Pratt. Apparently it was a little bit of a foot soreness. So when he was taken out a late scratch on Sunday, some speculation that maybe he'd go up to the Major League Ball Club, but did have a sore foot. So that's why. You think if you had to make a bold statement or a guess or whatever, do you think we're going to see him by June 1st or by Father's Day weekend? We're getting next to nothing from the left side of the infield from production standpoint. And I know that's not the strong point for Cooper Pratt has been offense, but he's hitting really well now as of late. Do you strike while the iron's hot? What do you say? I kind of think so. I kind of think so. But anywho, we'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up here in just a little while here too. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off. We got some news updates. We're going to head into halftime here. We'll talk a little Tyrod Taylor. Again, it looks like a wide majority of you chiming in saying 2 thumbs up with the move. So we'll get to that. Get to talk about that. And then, from the clips that we played from Jonathan Gannon and Cam Acord, your thoughts, your first impressions. This is the first time they've talked to the Packers media. your first impressions from your new defensive coordinator and your new special teams coordinator. Also, Adam Stenovich did talk yesterday, too. I want to get to some of his quotes, and he did bring up Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. I want to hit that up here, too. So, all right, news updates. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, here we go. Halftime is over with. Third hour, third quarter kicks off right now. Thanks for hanging out with us all morning long. Chime in, hit us up with a message on that Section 105 chat room or the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. That's up and rolling. Got a couple of a confession and grind my gears. Surveyor actually coming in with a confession. I like it. I was expecting a grind my gears from Surveyor, but I like the confession part of it here. John, really quick, has a good morning, Dan. What grinds my gears today? Brought to you by Toys Ford. Is that over the weekend, I bought 3 tickets to the Brewers at Twins game next weekend for my son's birthday. Those 3 tickets cost me between $60 and $70 after taxes. Not a bad deal for 3 tickets. He also wanted a new Brewers fitted hat for his birthday. I did not buy him the fitted hat because it cost just as much as the 3 tickets to that Brewers Twins game that I'm taking them to. That's what grind my gears today. No joke, John. I was actually looking because I'm wearing a Brewers fitted hat right now, but I've had this for a few years. It's my go-to Brewers hat. The brim is a little bit faded on the top, so I was looking at like, okay, because I'm going to the Brewers game on Sunday for Mother's Day. I'm like, man, I need a new one, and I want the all blue one. I've got the yellow and the blue one. I want the all blue one. But yeah, you ain't kidding, man. Hat prices, dang. I mean, you're talking about dropping like 50 plus taxes. Dang. When did that become? I was like, I want one. I need a new one. I love hats. I got an addiction to hats. I've got an addiction to a good hat, and I want a new Brewers one because this brim, this bill is fading a little bit. So I hear you, John. I'm right there with you. That's a good one. It's just kind of weird that you bring that up, and I was thinking the same thing. Like this morning, I was trying to find something on eBay to see if it was a little bit cheaper. Nope, because there's some things I don't trust on eBay. So Surveyor Sam's got a confession here. He says, okay, I have a confession. Back in college, we were playing Bethel in a rugby friendly, and my cousin was on the Bethel side. After he was tackled in the middle of the match, I saw his foot sticking out in the scrum. Well, I kind of let my hand slide on down and untie his shoe because the man never double knotted them. Well, he didn't notice until his teammate stepped on his shoelace and sprained his ankle. I still haven't told him almost 15 years later. Do I feel bad? Not really, since he broke my nose with his forehead when we were on the same team. Hope you got a laugh. Have a great one, everyone. Man. Oh, Surveyor, one of these days, we might have to make this a podcast. Like, maybe you told me this one time. How did you ever get into rugby? It sounds like it's a family affair. So how did you guys ever get into rugby? What was the opportunities that presented itself for you? Because, and maybe I could throw this out for all of you listeners. What was a sport that you wish you could have had an opportunity to maybe try or to play, but maybe it wasn't available, or maybe it wasn't that big when you were growing up, so there really wasn't any opportunities? Was there a sport like that? I always go back to lacrosse. I wish lacrosse was a thing when I was growing up, because I think I really would have enjoyed playing lacrosse. And I wish that was around. I wish that was, kind of up and going and such, because I think I would have really, really, really enjoyed that. And I kind of want to try it now as part of our Game On video series, just to see. But that's one that's always been at the top of my list of a sport that I wish I could have tried when I was younger and maybe had an opportunity to play, because it wasn't really an opportunity or maybe I just never heard about it. But lacrosse was always the one that's kind of been at the top of my list. What about the rest of you? Let me know. Hit us up, okay? So we're going to talk little Badgers here with Mr. RJ Cardinal coming up in about, let's say 15, 20 minutes or so. Before that, Tyrod Taylor. I won't go through all the text, but it's an overwhelming majority saying, yes, you like to move. I think we had one that says he doesn't. because it's an older Jordan Love. Okay. But I like it. I like it because you've got a proven veteran, established quarterback. Is he going to, be like an MVP or like this all-pro type? No, I mean, what backup quarterback is right now at this point in time? You know what I mean? It's just, the thing is, we probably don't see Tyrod Taylor in the regular season unless it's victory formation and he's taking a knee and he's getting that kneecap a little dirty and such. But I think over the last few years, we have seen Green Bay really kind of change their approach when it comes to the backup quarterback position. And this even goes back to the Aaron Rodgers days. Where they will have like a Graham Harrell be the primary backup or a Tim Boyle be the primary backup, or it's like an undrafted rookie or a late round pick. And I feel like a lot of times during the Aaron Rodgers era, they did not really kind of value the backup quarterback or maybe prioritize it. And I think, what we have seen with the Jordan Love era so far, we've seen it's pretty important just in case there is an injury that you want a backup quarterback that's going to go out there, that you feel comfortable as a play caller, that they're going to know the playbook, they're going to understand the playbook, that you can run a full-on offense and not just a very slimmed down portion of the playbook because of the limited abilities and such. Now, Tyrod Taylor isn't going to be the running, scrambling quarterback that maybe he was earlier on in his career when he was with like Baltimore and such, or Buffalo. He's not going to be that guy. But he's going to give you a veteran presence within the lineup. He's going to understand the playbook. He's going to know the offense. He's going to control the line of scrimmage. He's going to control the huddle. So I like it in that essence that we kind of know what we're getting with him, a guy that's been through the fire. The fact that they moved on from Desmond Ridder for this just makes me wonder what's kind of going on with Desmond Ridder that, because he was a starter not that long ago with the Atlanta Falcons, right? For a few years, he was. He was a starter. And he's got those reps. But obviously something is there where teams are just not buying in. They're not buying in to Desmond Ridder right now. And I thought Desmond Ridder would kind of be, when the Packers picked him up last year, I'm like, okay, you're bringing in another, maybe like a Malik Willis type that's got some reps, some starting reps, and kind of maybe resurrect his career. But there must have been something where they just weren't like buying in, or they just were not comfortable with him. So, but I like it. I like it because it gives you that veteran presence that if you do have to go to him, it's a guy that's been there, the guy that does still have some ability and such. Yep, he's going to be 37 when the season opens up. But I like the fact that they're going with the veteran route at this point. Survey said, I have an English aunt, and she loved the sport. We watched it growing up, and my cousin played. I always looked up to my cousin as a big brother. And what he did, I wanted to do. After I graduated high school, my cousin invited me to play in a summer tournament, played once, and never looked back. Was this the same cousin that you untied the shoe? Same cousin? Surveyor? Got to know that part. But all right. Continue to send your first impressions. First time we heard from Gannon. Cam, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator. Your first impressions, a couple of you saying, Kevin said earlier about Jonathan Gannon, like what I'm hearing, but like you said a little bit earlier, talk is cheap. Let's see it actually on the field. Jason had said a little bit earlier, too, that Cam seems to bring a lot of high energy. Hopefully that transitions to improved special teams play. JB earlier, too, for Grind My Gears Tuesday said what grinds my gears is the St. Louis Cardinals. That's it in general since 1982. All right, we'll get back to some more of your comments, your Grind My Gears, your confessions, your I'm not saying, but I'm just sayings. We got to take a quick break, and we're going to switch gears, and we're going to check in with RJ down in Badgerland. What's the latest and greatest in Wisconsin Badger sports? We'll get the breakdown from RJ coming up after these quick words. Whether you're chasing a championship or you're just trying to stay active, your body deserves the best care. And at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, they help athletes and non-athletes alike to get back to doing what they love. From sports injuries and joint pain to everyday aches, their expert team is there with personalized care every step of the way. So no matter your level of activity, you don't have to sit on the sidelines. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better, feel better, and live better. Not sure if they're going to be winning a championship anytime soon when it comes to the Badger football team and such, but let's chat some Badger football to open up things with our guy, Mr. R.J. Cardinal. Good morning, R.J. How you doing, bud?
Morning. Pretty good. How are you?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Wish it was a little bit warmer for, Cinco de Mayo and such, but, I'm used to it. It's Wisconsin. So what do you do?
Yeah. What are you going to do? Can't really complain at this point.
Yep, exactly. So, hey, I want to start off talking some Badger football and going back to a few days. Dude, we got another Sorgi coming over at quarterback. That makes me feel really old when we're talking about a Sorgi, Jim Sorgi's kid coming over. But what can you tell us a little bit about our new quarterback coming down the line?
Yeah, he's one of the top prospects in Indiana. I believe he's the top 25 quarterback in the country. Somehow not nationally ranked though, so I don't get how that works out. But you're getting and I feel like he has better feet than Jim Sorgi ever did. You're getting a pretty darn good quarterback who didn't start playing quarterback until 8th grade or freshman year, I think. So still got a lot of miles in that arm. I don't think that's as big of a deal as it is for like pitchers or anything like that. But you got a kid who grew up a Badger fan. Came by that honestly. And has never been to Camp Randall. So,
I know, I heard that. That's weird.
Yeah. But you think about it. His dad, growing up, was playing football. So it's not like they just had the opportunity to go to a home game on a Saturday, and who knows what they were doing on an off week. Probably actually having family time. Because when you live in Indianapolis, it's easy to have family be right outside of Indianapolis. It's not like people baseball, they go move to the city they play for a while and then go home. Football tends to make home around the city they live in, but in terms of like Green Bay, I think we all know most of the players come for the season and then go home. So I'd assume in the bigger cities, people live in the communities surrounding those cities. And then I believe Jim Sorgi went right into play color commentating for the Colts shortly after his career. So didn't really have the opportunity to make it to a game, but I would think this year, hopefully, some kind of recruiting visit for a game.
Right.
Got another Sorgi in there. Jim was a senior my freshman year, so it's one of those, I'm actually starting to get into the players I know have kids reaching college. So it's pretty cool to see, but yeah, you're right. It does make you feel kind of old.
Absolutely, dude. Hey, speaking of the quarterbacks for the Badgers and such, I had seen Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports. He was on with Brian Butch's podcast, and he talked about the quarterback room, saying he thinks it's the best spot it's been in under Fickle, and in the last few years and such. From what you've heard, or maybe from who you've talked to, whether it's been Zach or such, is there that kind of optimism that you're hearing about this quarterback room for the Badger football team?
Yeah. When Carter Smith is now your fourth string guy for the season, you have to be at least liking what you see out of this room. The fresh Hopkins, true freshman coming in as an early enrollee, pushing for 2 reps with the transfer from Louisville. So they're battling for the 2 spot right now, and that's your biggest positional battle, I think, in terms of drama, if you will. I mean, it's Colton Joseph's job, and everything else is just going to fall in line behind that. So, liking what I see. You have a guy who's 4th string who's taken reps in this offense, be it however limited they were running the offense. So, I mean, you have that true freshman who's grasping the offense really well and pushing to be the number 2, Colton Joseph, who has, seasons under his belt as a collegiate starter. And you just have talent in the room. Now, you'll still want some more talent in that room. So it's in a good place, but it's still, as I think we've seen the past couple of seasons, I don't want to see a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So it on paper and in practice, it can look like a really good room. I'd rather not find out, though.
Right. Yeah, no kidding. So, okay, so spring practice or spring ball is in the books, right? So kind of, from maybe your experience or from what you know, what do these players do now? What's next? Are a lot of them staying and still working out? What's kind of that schedule of events for this football team?
So right now you really have off until after finals and then come June. So you get the finals off here. Then you get a couple of weeks once school's done. So I think that's technically, graduation ceremonies are this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. But so then you get 2 weeks off from there. Then you start coming back in end of May, early June for, summer 7-on-7s and the lifting program. And then come July 1st, I think, as long as it's still the same rule, because that's a new academic year, I believe July 1st is when the new scholarship freshmen can come in. But now that, some people might not be on scholarship but are getting paid, I'm not sure the real rules there. And I believe preferred walk-ons can also come in and do summer lifting. So then that takes you right up until you start fall camp in August. And it's really just 2 down weeks, and then the rest is go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, is it, do you feel kind of, I know it's just May and that, but, did they open up spring practice a little bit more to the media this year than they have in years past? Or I thought I had seen somewhere that somebody said they opened up like every single practice to the media. Was that normal, or is that about average?
The past couple of seasons, they've actually limited the amount of practice the media can be at. So, this year I believe they were open to all 14 or 15, whatever it is, in spring ball now. So the media got to go see everything and be able to report on, everything, which is a little new. But, I mean, when you're breaking in a new defensive coordinator in the first year, a new offensive coordinator, when things aren't technically going the way you'd like to see them, I can see why you wouldn't want the media there, and only have they had a couple of times where only certain media members were allowed to sit down and interview people and things like that. But I think as struggles mount, you might actually want to open things up so you don't have the media guessing and then not being able to talk to the lay people like us, where we just have to kind of guess what's going on and then only see the results, which haven't been good. So the fact we can get a full media report, let us know, hey, this Ryan Hopkins is looking pretty good. Let us know that, the defense is looking like they'll be a little better in the takeaway department. The offense is looking okay. The running back room is filled again. It sounds like Abu Sama is going to be a kind of a work bell or a workhorse kind of back for us. You still got Darian Dupree, and the O-line is looking better. So when you can start actually hearing that kind of stuff, it's one of those. I think it was probably a strategic move to allow that to happen, so we don't have to speculate and only be like, oh well, we only get to see the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 15th practice. So good to have a little more openness to be able to see and have everybody see what's kind of going on.
Moving over to basketball, and I know Greg Gard just recently had his annual Guarding Against Cancer event, and I thought he had an interesting kind of quote or answer, however you want to describe it. But when he said that the biggest question from a lot of the recruits that from the transfer portal that came in this year asked about Rapp and Winter coming back. And the quote was, as we went through the recruiting process of Owen, Ian Victory, and Trey, they asked about Austin and Nolan if they were coming back in the retention because they wanted to play with them. And I don't remember which one it was. One of the perimeter players said, you guys have the best shooting front line coming back in the country. So I guess I kind of want to ask you, we pay a lot of attention on that backcourt. We look at the last couple of years of Nick Boyd, John Blackwell, John Tanjay, and such. Could we maybe see a little bit of a different change in philosophy in basketball this upcoming year where maybe the focus is going to be on the front court with Winter and Rapp this year, do you think?
Especially when you bring in Victory, who's like, I'm here to protect the rim.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, I think we know he's the one addition who won't be shooting threes. But yeah, retaining those two, having those guys who can step outside, and whether the perimeter guys can then flash and take it down the lane like Nick Boyd did, or be able to be like John Tanjay and have a bit of a mid-range jumper. I can honestly say I haven't really seen the guys coming in. It's not like you can be like, oh yeah, I remember watching them because I thought they'd fit our offense pretty nicely, and they were at mid-majors. So it becomes something where, yeah, we don't. I wouldn't have thought that people would ask, oh, are those two coming back? Because that'd be great. So the fact that at least people looking at Wisconsin are looking at that, and saying your front line is the best shooting front line returning in the country. It's part of the offense that has been created. Wisconsin has had a history of, even in the swing offense, having big men who have the ability to step outside and take that three, because as we know, the swing offense was something where no matter the position you play, you're going to be playing down low, you're going to be playing outside the 3-point line, and I don't know if this new offense has, everybody can be anywhere, but it definitely allows for the big men to be out there. And yeah, just knowing people kind of like that, it'll be interesting to see what happens, in the years moving forward. Because, right now, those are your only really two big men on the team right now. And I think the next closest is Victory at 6'10". So yeah, it was interesting to hear that, but it also, I think for us Wisconsin fans, we're like, oh yeah, no, we got big men who can shoot. What do you mean that was what drew you here? Right. Yeah. Hey, it seems like it's pretty quiet on the athletic director search, and I thought I'd read the other day, like they haven't even maybe posted it or started the process and such. What, have you heard anything different, or have you heard anything in terms of the athletic director search? No, outside of the introductory press conference for our interim AD, I have not heard anything, whether, who's going to be conducting the search or anything like that. So it'll be, who knows, it might be more talked about once the current chancellor is out and we then have the interim chancellor. It's still one of those, like, it's up in the air, and we don't really know about it.
And is that kind of like with this time frame? I mean, we're entering summer, and I get it. It's going to be not a lot going on, but do you think ideally they'd like to have that new AD in before football season begins?
You'd think so, and I would like that, but I'm honestly not knowing their timeline. It could be something that they just want to get right, and that doesn't always mean a hasty hire. I mean, I would think come the new academic year, you'd want to at least have somebody in place, or maybe the plan is to this year have Sudbury be the interim for the year, and we'll kind of worry about that at the turn of the semester in 26, 27, or what? I'm not sure. But you'd think you'd want somebody in place who can start laying the foundation they see fit for this place, and whether that be as soon as possible or a little more research detailed into it. It could be like a middle of the football season hire. That'd be an odd time to do it too, though, because you're not going to find too many ADs who leave a position in the middle of their academic year either. But if, like we were kind of talking a couple weeks ago, maybe you're looking for somebody who's more of a personnel type person and doesn't necessarily have to be an athletic director. I mean, you can hire people to take care of and know the athletic side, as long as you know how to do the personnel and make the tough decisions on the business side. So it really could be a person from anywhere that has ties to here, or some of the names we talked about a few weeks ago, people who have ties with Wisconsin are in athletic departments and are doing pretty good jobs of where they're at right now.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So, hey, before I let you go, I know kind of like on the scheduled events, we've got it's Badgers softball. They're going to begin their Big Ten Conference play going up against Purdue tomorrow. So, but I was checking the latest rankings and such, and Wisconsin, number 35 in the country, another 30-win season here for the Badgers. So hopefully maybe another deep run for this softball team too.
Yeah, I was doing some reading on that. I think regardless of what happens in the Big Ten tournament here, I think they're pretty much in the NCAA tournament. And I know we've talked about them a lot in terms of they end up being a 4 seed and have to go up against some powerhouse, but they've gone in and gone to some super regional finals in the past, I believe, or just have at least impressed some people on a national stage when people get to see Wisconsin play. So, looking forward. I know in doing some research, they did well against Purdue this year. So hopefully in the one game kind of playoff format, you can continue that success and end up playing Oregon on Thursday, I think, because I think they just go back to back games. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I think I saw Yvette Healy got her 600th career win as a coach. I don't think at Wisconsin, because even though you play 40 some odd games in a year, but it's an awesome testament to where the team started in 1996, I think. So yeah, it's just awesome to see where this team was in the early years, where it was just fielding a team to being a team that is consistently vying for the NCAAs and things like that. So not sure what they have to do to finally make that push through to maybe win a super regional. But yeah, awesome to see, and it gives us something to talk about in the spring.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, dude, appreciate the time as always and all the awesome insights. Enjoy the rest of your week, buddy, and we'll catch up with you again next week, sir.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you then.
You got it. There you go. RJ Cardinal, our Badger expert, joining us as he usually does every Tuesday morning. Hey, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back after these few words. Sign-ups are now open for the 6th Annual Casper Classic, coming to you from Lake Alley Golf Course. First Friday in August. So we try to keep it that first Friday in August. So August 7th this year, just head to sportstalk1051.com or WAYYradio.com to sign up your two-person team for just $90. That includes your 9 holes, your meal from Hy-Vee, your carts, and some drink tickets, beverages provided by our good friends at Park Ridge Distributing. Also, shout out to Window World, Superior Auto Body, VFW Post 305, Myron Construction, all partners and sponsors of our event to help support Backyard Dreams. So, again, if you want to get your two-person team, we got those 3 tee times, 7:30, 10, and 1 p.m. And if you're interested in maybe being a whole sponsor or donating a raffle prize, because all proceeds go to help fund Backyard Dreams, please reach out and we'll put you in touch with the proper peeps. All right. Coming up next hour, just kind of reset everything because I do got to take another break before the top of the hour. But coming up next hour, we'll do a little I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Final call for any Grind My Gears, brought to you by Toyson Ford and some sports confessions. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as we get set for Game 2 of this series against the Cardinals. We heard from Jonathan Gannon and Cam Acord, the new special teams coordinator. Also heard from Adam Stenovich, and probably, maybe the third wheel in yesterday's coordinator press conference, because we literally had not heard from the other coordinators since being hired by the Packers. So, but Steno yesterday, obviously, I think this is a coach too that is coming in with a big spotlight on him, and not for a lot of fans, not in a good way, because I think if you polled a lot of Packers fans this offseason, you probably heard a lot of them say that we need a different offensive coordinator. We need somebody different. And I was kind of on that boat too. Like, if Matt LaFleur is going to give up play calling, I'd like to see maybe a different coach come in and such. But Steno asked some questions, based off of his grade. He got a low grade. He was about C from that player survey from this past year and such. He also touched on Savion Williams and such. And Stenovich said about Savion Williams, it's going to be really fun to watch him go out there and play. He's such a big, fast, physical player. And this is a guy, too, and we've touched on Savion Williams a little bit, where the guy was a third-round pick last year. And we talk about this wide receiver group, and we still don't really talk a whole lot about him. We don't really kind of, and I think it's because we focus on Matthew Golden, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, and probably we didn't see a whole lot from Savion Williams last year, or the what we did see from him last year probably didn't impress a whole lot of fans and such, so a little underwhelming. But I look at Savion Williams as a guy that it's a big unknown. It's a question mark. But I think there's things there. And I don't know if LaFleur and the offense knew exactly how to utilize him. When you read the scouting reports, which we did from last year in his draft, and you read it, and it's like Green Bay did exactly what those scouting reports kind of said how to utilize him right away. But it just, I don't think they found that sweet spot with him. So I'm really curious to see what the offense does with Savion Williams this year, or what Savion Williams does for the offense this year. About Sean Ryan coming back as a center, Stenovich said, quote, he stepped up and took control of it. Made mistakes for sure, but as we progressed through the season, he kept getting better and better. And he said that center is Sean Ryan's best spot. And regarding his C grade, he said, quote, for me, I'm just going out every day to be the best version of myself. That's about it. Not too worried about it. So yeah, that was from Steno, Adam Stenovich yesterday. But your first impressions from some of the stuff that you heard from Jonathan Gannon and also Cam Acord, the new special teams coordinator. Anything kind of stand out to you, your first impressions? Let me know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Packers fans. All right, we got to take a quick break as we start to wrap up the third quarter, the final hour. All right, I want to get back to some more baseball talk. Jackson Chourio's bat speed. Oh, last night was insane. We'll tell you just how insane it was coming up here too. But final break for the third hour. We'll be right back after these quick words. Surveyor finally coming in with a little grind my gears Tuesday. Surveyor saying, you know what grinds my gears? All the people still listening that haven't signed up for the Classic. Come on, fellas and ladies. Come join me at the 7:30 tea time. You are guaranteed at least 2 chuckles and 1 belly laugh. I think, don't quote me. I know we have another person that did sign, or another team that did sign up for your. We might as well just call the 7:30 tea time the Surveyor and Nate flight. The Surveyor and Nate flight. Can we just name that? But I do believe. Let me just really quick. And I think I know who it is. Do I want to say? So yeah, we did have a couple. We got a couple there, but I think it might be Philly fan Dave. Maybe not. Not sure. I'll have to double check. But you got another one out there for you for the Surveyor and Nate's honorary flight for that 7:31. See, I mean, you could even do this. Look what happened with Surveyor last year, right? He golfed in the 7:31 and ended up filling in 10 o'clock. You can. There's no rule says you can't buy a couple slots over there. So go ahead and do that too. Heck yeah. And depending on the weather, it might be really hot like it was one year. Playing in a 7:31 might actually be better. So you're not all like hot and bothered and sweaty and all that stuff. So if you want to win that, that title belt, that might be the way to go about it. So, but there you go, Surveyor. I like it. All right. Just a couple minutes left to the top. So again, we'll talk some football. Tyrod Taylor, thumbs up, thumbs down. Surveyor, weren't you big proponent of Tyrod Taylor too? I can't remember from a few weeks ago and such if you were the one and not. But also Brewers talk. Jackson Chourio back in the lineup, and boy, did he look good last night. Brewers still lost, but man, Jackson Chourio really looked good in his season debut last night. If he could continue to do that and have the bat speed that he displayed last night, man alive, might be onto something there. But we'll hit that up coming up as we start to preview Game 2 of this series tonight. Brandon Sproat on the mound for the Brew Crew. We'll hit that up, preview that as well. So, and whatever else is grinding your gears, your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, and some of your confessions. I still got to get to what's grinding my gears and my I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So I'll kick off the 9 o'clock hour with my I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. It is going to be Brewers related. So that'll be coming up just past 9 o'clock after we get through the news updates here. So, but Brewers back at it again tonight, 6:45. You can listen to the game on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off here. We'll have those news updates and jump right into a little Jackson Chourio, Milwaukee Brewers talk. Good to see Jackson back out on the field yesterday. Boy, did this team miss him. Andrew Vaughn also back out there too. Cooper Pratt was not out there and was not called up because apparently he had a sore foot. So there goes that thought process. But hey, maybe by June, what do you think? All right, we'll be right back in just a couple minutes to kick off the final quarter with some more baseball talk. final quarter tips off right now, or the fourth quarter of the final hour coming your way on this Tuesday morning of May 5th. Cinco de Mayo. It's Tuesday. It's tacos. Yeah. I'm already hungry. Thanks for hanging out with us here this morning. Appreciate you tuning in. If it's on the radio dial, it's 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available to stream up online at sportstalk1051.com. Got the app. Download it. Take it on the go. Video stream rocking and rolling on YouTube as well. So we're going to get to maybe a little more football talk coming up here in just a little bit. But I want to lead things off with I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying Jackson Chourio is going to have a night like he did last night every single day, but I'm just saying if he is going to tattoo that ball and that bat speed is going to be a consistent thing like we saw last night, boy, it's going to be something. It's going to be special. This was his miles per hour off the bat last night in his 4 hits. Double first inning. 108.3, 102.8 on his single, 105.7 on his single, and then his final double, 109.2 miles per hour. That ball was flying off of his bat. I mean, the swing was there. It was perfection. Literally 4 for 4 from the plate. Also had a walk. The plate discipline that he had, too, the walk that he took a full count slider for a walk. And I know that's always kind of been, remember last year, opening day, it's kind of the thing, 0 for 5, 5 Ks, right? He struck out. Plate discipline has been a thing that we've wanted maybe see Jackson Chourio get a little bit better at. Maybe take some of those walks, swing at those good pitches. And I know it's just one game and it was his season debut, but for crying out loud, this is the guy, this is the kid that is going to be the superstar, the crowned one, the chosen one, whatever you want to call it for Brewers baseball. But that was an impressive performance from him last night. And it's not going to be like that every night. I'm not saying it's going to be like that every night, but I'm just saying if that could be, even a couple of those here and there, boy, that was impressive last night. And it was good to see, right? For a team that we've been waiting for, and they've had their offensive spurts. Let's not kind of paint a picture that their offense has just been absolute duds throughout this whole season. But to see that type of performance, it was awesome. And then, of the 11 hits last night by the Brewers, 7 of them coming from your 2-3 hitters. Bryce Harang had 3, and then Chourio had 4. So 7 of your 11 hits came from your 2-3 hitters. It's just they weren't able to manufacture enough runs. Or, Chad Patrick got into a little bit of trouble there in the 4th inning too. That opened up the game for the Cardinals a bit. But hopefully this is just kind of continuing. And Jackson Chourio, I think, has proven that he can still get better and better. And I think we all kind of knew that he could continue to get better and better. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see number 11 back out there and back to performing at a high level too. So game 2 tonight, we've got Brandon Sproat on the mound for the Brewers. And I think for Brandon Sproat here, these are going to be some big moments for Brandon Sproat, because let's assume Brandon Woodruff does come back fairly soon. Okay, let's assume that. You look at, to me, to use Matt LaFleur's offensive lineman, phrase, the 5 best will play. When it comes to starting pitchers and starting rotation, the 5 best have to be on there. And to me, Logan Henderson is a part of the 5 best. Jacob Mizorowski is a part of the 5 best. Kyle Harrison's a part of the 5 best. Brandon Woodruff's a part of the 5 best. I'd probably still go Chad Patrick above Brandon Sproat right now. Brandon Sproat can change that, though. If he goes out there today, and he had a good game, a couple of outings ago. nice. He was probably at that line because I know we talked about it. He was at that line. It's like, okay, if he has another kind of a hiccup game, does he get sent down and you kind of work on some things and that sort of stuff? But for me, and I know Logan Henderson's on the team right now, but when Woodruff does come back and you kind of are back at full strength with your starting pitching staff, to me, Logan Henderson is a part of that top 5. And if Brandon Sproat wants to be a part of that top 5 too, or make that decision a little bit more difficult, I think this is a big start for him. And going forward, just let's see the consistency. He's got some good stuff. He's got some really good stuff and a lot of good stuff to work with. And I am by no means, not in any way, not in any shape, form, whatever, trying to say that he's, not a good pitcher or, doesn't have any talent. He's got some talent. And I have all the confidence in the world that Chris Hook and this Brewers pitching staff or Brewers pitching coaching staff can get the best out of him, get the most out of him. But I think right now where this team is at, are they better with Logan Henderson in the starting line, in the starting rotation, or Brandon Sproat in the starting rotation? And I am probably going to go with Logan Henderson. Not probably, I know I'm going to go with Logan Henderson. That's who I would go with right now. If you're asking me who do I trust more, because isn't that a big part when it comes to your starting pitcher? It's not all of it, but isn't that a big part when it comes to your starting pitcher? Who do you trust the most? If you got to put the ball in their hands, who do you trust the most? And right now, I'm going Logan Henderson. So I hope with Logan Henderson being on the team right now, he stays. I really hope to see that he stays. I think he deserves it. I think he's got the talent to be in there. But if you're Brandon Sproat, I'd be feeling a little bit of the heat and a little bit of the pressure if you want to stay with that ball club, because there's only so many spots. And maybe, just maybe too, they go straight up with the 6-man and kind of give everybody a little bit more of an extra breather and such. That is very possible. That's not completely out of the realm of possibility. And I think with Quinn Priester still struggling a little bit with his command and his control, that's allowing the Brewers to be a little bit patient with some of this stuff. Because right now, I would not trust Quinn Priester to be pitching because of his issues with walking so far that we have seen in his appearances at AAA. So that's allowing them to be a little bit more patient and such. But if Quinn Priester does find that control and he does go out there and start pitching like we saw last year, hey, it's a good problem to have. You got some dudes you can go to. But, I'm curious to see what we're going to get from Sproat tonight and what the offense can do to maybe – I think a big thing, too, if you're the offense, go out there and put up a crooked number right away to help out Brandon Sproat. Give him some early run support. Maybe calm him down a little bit. Relax him a little bit. Play with a lead with him. Be aggressive. Get some runs across right away in this game. Take some of that pressure off of him. It's ideal, right? That's what you'd like to see. But so we got to see Jackson Chourio back yesterday. We got to see Andrew Vaughn back yesterday. The one player that kind of thought, are we going to see him, was Cooper Pratt. He was not called up because apparently why he was a late scratch on Sunday's game was because of a sore foot. Nothing too concerning. But I think that clock's got to be ticking. Because I don't know how much longer you can go with the left side of your infield producing like they're producing. And I think the clock is really ticking on Joey Ortiz. Because you're starting to see him losing starts, not starting games, in favor of David Hamilton. Because Hamilton's at least providing some bunts and some speed on the base paths and stolen bases, I guess. But I mean, that's what David Hamilton is doing. Think about that. David Hamilton is right now maybe getting a little bit more playing time and starts because he can bunt the ball and get on base because of his speed and turn that into practically a double because he can take second base with that speed. That is, I mean, small ball at its finest. Joey Ortiz can't even do that. He can't get on, Joey Ortiz is a better defender at shortstop. Hamilton may be a little bit more versatile in the fact that he could play second and third. Joey Ortiz could play third. We saw that, but he's a really good defensive shortstop. And it stinks to say that because I love watching Joey Ortiz play shortstop from a defensive perspective. But for crying out loud, if you can't have any consistency at the plate, and I know he had a big RBI thing, or a big couple RBIs just a couple games ago, but you're seeing him lose ABs. You're seeing him lose games being started. His first year when he was a third baseman, he was out there every day, and I would take his offensive production in a heartbeat that he had his first year with the Brewers. Even last year with his offense struggling, he was out there because of defense. But now it's like, are the Brewers kind of getting fed up, tired, losing trust, losing confidence in Ortiz because now you're starting to see the ABs and the games going down. And the way Cooper Pratt's been hitting at AAA right now, and maybe the sore foot kind of pumped the brakes on him making his debut and such, but at this point, when you're looking at that, even throw Jet Williams into there. You got to make a change. You got to do something differently. If you're saying, okay, let's see what Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn coming back, if that kind of sparks the offense. All right, say that does. You got a lineup at the top of your lineup card with Terang and Chourio, and even, okay, let's throw Yelich into this thing. I know he's traveled with the team in that, but let's just throw Yelich into this conversation for argument's sake. You got Yelich, and then you got Contreras, those four, Vaughn, 5 hitters and such. But then you get to the back end, the bottom of the lineup, and you're getting next to nothing. Hey, no. Clock's ticking. And it's probably already struck midnight for a lot of people and a lot of fans. I just wonder when do we see Cooper Pratt come up? Is it going to be June? Beginning of June? Father's Day? Not till the 4th? Heck, even Joe Williams for crying out loud. Right now, I'd take both those. Put Jet at third for now. Cooper Pratt at short. Hamilton's your backup infielder that could cover multiple spots. Gotta do something different. All right, we'll take a quick break. Back with plenty more, though, coming up after these quick words. So MLB.com's already got their early MVP poll and such. And, about next week will be first quarter of the way through the season. So we're getting to the first quarter, but I was just kind of taking a look at this yesterday. First MVP poll got Aaron Judge leading the way with the American League. Yordan Alvarez also up there with 19 votes. Bobby Witt Jr. third. Ben Rice even getting some love. Mike Trout's getting some love. National League, it's Shohei, and that wasn't even close. Shohei, and then it's a wide gap between second place, Ellie De La Cruz. Matt Olson's on there. Corbin Carroll's also on there. Nico Horner for the Cubs also finishing on there too. So might be another year, at least right now. Don't get, we're not even to the first quarter. Okay, but another Shohei and Aaron Judge year so far. And, I mean, can you blame it at this point in time? I can't really. So, all right. Back to, when was this? All right. CBS Sports, somebody sent this over to me. Best in quarterback rooms right now. Oh, this is the worst quarterback rooms. Okay. So these are the worst ones. Do they got all right, so it's just worst. All right, never mind. Green Bay's not on there. So I thought that was also best and worst. So, no need to do that. Oh. What okay. Apparently this is a hot NBA trade rumor. Because I just saw this when somebody sent me this link to the worst quarterback rooms. I'm not sure why I got that sent, but don't have a name. So, Jaylen Brown for Giannis. Why one side probably says no to the NBA's hottest trade rumor for now. It says here it's been an eventful few days for Jaylen Brown. On Saturday with Jason Tatum out, he was charged with leading the Celtics through the most important game of their season, a winner-take-all Game 7 against the 76ers. Despite shouldering the number one option load for most of Boston's 56-win season, he ultimately came up short in a 109-100 defeat. A bitter Brown accused Joel Embiid of flopping after the game. So Jaylen Brown took to Twitch for a stream that included a number of notable comments. He doubled down on his accusations against Embiid. He accused the officials, who whistled him for 10 offensive fouls in the series, primarily for using his off arm to create space. He called this his favorite season in the NBA, despite representing his earliest postseason exit. The comments would raise eyebrows even under normal circumstances, but in light of Boston's playoff disappointment, broader roster issues, and a balance sheet crunch, they've become immediate trade rumor fodder. Boston, after all, has been linked to the biggest name on the market. In April, The Athletic reported that the Celtics are known to be interested in Giannis. There's going to be more teams interested in Giannis than not. Mark Stein called the Celtics a team to watch for Giannis on Sirius XM radio. It says here now we're still very early into the Giannis sweepstakes. There aren't even sweepstakes yet. He may ultimately elect to re-sign with the Bucks. He's eligible for an extension this offseason. And while he technically can't sign it until October, discussions will surely happen in the background. And if he indicates he doesn't plan to re-up, Bucks owner Wes Edens has already indicated Milwaukee will trade him. All right, so if it's centered around getting Jaylen Brown back, what do you say, Bucks fans? And it says here, the writer says, were I to make a guess today, it would be that Giannis would indeed be willing to extend in Boston, as the Celtics would be willing to pull the trigger, but the Bucks would be able to find a better offer. The Celtics have resisted Brown overtures over the years, including the future Hall of Famers like Kevin Durant. The contracts changed the equation this time around. Tatum and Brown are absolutely good enough to be a championship duo when they also have the best supporting cast in the league, as they did in 2024. Given their contracts and the asset disadvantage Boston is facing compared to teams like the Spurs and Thunder, I find it unlikely they'll be able to reassemble a supporting cast as stellar as the Drew Holiday, Al Horford, and Kristaps Porzingis trio they won in 2024. All right. There you have it. No, that's a rumor. It's not. It's just a report, a talking point out there. Jaylen Brown's a big name, but I get, if you're the Bucks, or if you're a Bucks fan, and Giannis does end up getting traded, I almost just let's just get the picks and some younger players and controllable players, and I don't know if I necessarily want to quote star right away. I mean, it might keep you in contention and making the playoffs and that, but now Jaylen Brown, I think, is an underrated player, and I wonder if Jaylen Brown, so he's 29, he'll be 30 this upcoming year. It's almost giving me Kyrie flashbacks to when Kyrie was with the Cavs, with LeBron. And it's almost giving me flashbacks of where Kyrie kind of wanted to go and be the guy. Does Jaylen Brown want to be the guy? And he was the guy for a big chunk of the season, but then Tatum came back. And I know Jaylen Brown's the one who signed that big contract and such, but it's kind of giving me those flashbacks a little bit. Does Jaylen Brown want to go somewhere and be the go-to guy? Because we see that a lot with players, right? We see that all across the board. It's not always greener. Pasture isn't always greener on the other side. But I don't no. And obviously it wouldn't even be straight up Jaylen Brown for Giannis. It would require picks and all that sort of stuff. I think if it were to happen, if Giannis were to be traded, I'd give me picks and give me some younger up-and-coming players and build around that. I don't think I want another veteran player that's already under a big contract. Might take a couple years to kind of get it going and rebuild it and such, but I don't know. If you move on from Giannis, I'd like them to kind of reset and kind of build kind of like the Thunder have done. And look where the Thunder are at right now. That's kind of, or even the Spurs here a little bit. And I know De'Aaron Fox was kind of an acquisition and such, but, you draft Victor, you got Castle and that, but that's kind of the route I'd like to see. All right. We got to take another break here. Packers talk. First impressions from what you heard from Jonathan Gannon yesterday. Cam Akor. Tyrod Taylor, 2 thumbs up. Just kind of looking at a lot of the polls, it's not even close. We could call this race. A lot of you like the signing of Tyrod Taylor to the Packers as a veteran backup to one Jordan Love. So, but we'll chat a little green and gold coming up after this quick break. Another grind my gears from a texter here says, what grinds my gear is when people tell youth coaches how to coach. If you can do better, then please sign up to help coach. Mostly these are volunteers trying to do the best they can with the kids to make them enjoy the sport. It's not all about winning, especially in youth sports. So, hey, texter, I'm in the same boat with you, man. I'm in the exact same boat with you. You and I see eye to eye when it comes to that. And I'll be honest too, like, when our team falls or loses or something like that, I take it hard because I want the kids to have fun and experience it and experience winning too. So it's a thin line. It definitely is. But yeah, we see eye to eye on that. So texter wants to remain nameless for that one. So appreciate that, sending that one on over. Last call for any more Grind Your Gears Tuesday, brought to you by Toyson Ford. All right. Or maybe you got a confession, or maybe you've got your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So Packers yesterday, we got to hear from Jonathan Gannon, new defensive coordinator, Kim Cord, the special teams coordinator, and Adam Stenavich, who is still the offensive coordinator for the Packers. I think just to kind of sum it up here, a couple things really quick, not to deep dive into it like we did in the second hour. But for Gannon, I think, he talks about not having a scheme. And for anybody that says, well, because I did see people saying this on social media, and I'm like, okay, now you just want to hate, or you just don't like the hire, so you're coming away with things to kind of criticize. So some people are like, oh, he doesn't have a game plan, or he doesn't have a scheme. Great defensive coordinator hire, Matt LaFleur. Here's the thing. I think he says he doesn't have a 4-3-3-4 scheme. And essentially now he's probably got elements of a 3-4, right? He's probably got elements of those, okay? It's not like he's just lining up guys and saying, hey, cover that guy, you got that guy, like backyard football. Okay, or reset. It's not that. There's going to be elements of that. But essentially what it is that I believe he's trying to come across is saying, hey, offenses across the league, they're very versatile. They're very, there's different ones, whether it's West Coast or whether you want to go with a Shanahan offense, an Andy Reid or Mike McCarthy, whatever. There's different variations. And there's creativity across the board. Running quarterbacks, non-running quarterbacks, very run heavy, very pass heavy. They're all over the case, and offenses adjust every week. I think to be a successful defense in this league, you also have to be adaptable. And you have to be a little bit more open in terms of, hey, we're just going to run a straight 4-3. And that's and that's what we're doing. I think you got to be a little bit more open to that. And that's where I think Gannon is coming across is like, hey, I don't have a scheme. It's not that he doesn't have a plan. It's that he doesn't want to pigeonhole himself saying we're a straight up 3-4 and this is the concepts that we're going to run. Or we're straight up 4-3 and this is what we're going to run. We're going to have some versatility. We're going to have elements of a 3-4. But we're also going to be adaptable to what these offenses across the league in 2026 are doing right now. Because look at a lot of these head coaches across the league. Offensive-minded, right? Not to say that's all defense. A defensive-minded head coach just won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. But offense also surprised a lot of people. Their offensive coordinator is now the head coach of the Raiders. That's what Gannon's coming off of. And I'm just an armchair MVP, armchair quarterback, and I would agree with it. I want versatility. I want adaptability when it comes to my defense. When it comes to Cam, your new special teams coordinator for Green Bay, the thing that jumped out to me was energy, enthusiasm. And I like what he said about when he answered the question about the return game. He said, you got to have players buying in. And he's right. And I think that's part of the issues when it comes to special teams were players buying in. And I think part of it is they got to buy in from the coach. If players are going to buy in from your coordinator, they're going to buy in from your coach, then you can build off that. If they're not buying in, they're like, got to go out there in a return unit. And if they're not in it, their head's not in it, they're not all about it, you're going to have the stupid penalties like we saw a lot last year or the last couple of years. And I like what Cam said. We can't start with behind the 30. The NFL has made it to where it's almost practically impossible at times to start within the 30 on a kickoff. And so many times Green Bay did that last year because of stupid penalties, even penalties when there was no return, for crying out loud. To fix all that, players got to buy in. How do they buy in? They got to buy into the message that the coordinator is selling, or the coordinator is, or the coach is throwing out there. And I think for him to come in, day out with that energy, with that enthusiasm, with that message, and those players are going to buy in, I think we're going to see an improvement in special teams. That's the optimistic approach. And that's the way I'm going to look at it. Again, these are just first impressions. It's the first time I've ever heard Cam talk and answer questions, but I came away with a guy that's going to bring a lot of energy. And maybe even some accountability. Don't know about that part till we actually get on the field, but that's kind of the impression I got. So that's kind of what stood out to me. Tyrod Taylor, that was the other Packers note from yesterday. Tyrod Taylor signing up to be the backup quarterback for Green Bay. I couldn't believe. For some reason, I had like 11 years in my head that Tyrod Taylor has been a quarterback in this league. No, it's been a lot longer. He'll be 37 in August. So he's been around the league since the 2011 draft, which I was like, dang. Then I'm like, oh, yeah, he was at Buffalo a little bit with Rex Ryan and such too. I was like, oh, man, he's been around for a little bit. But I know I like it because you're getting a veteran quarterback to come in to be your primary backup. Does he have the same speed that he did in Buffalo or Baltimore when he was back? No, probably not. Most likely not, okay? But you've got a guy that's got plenty of experience, playing experience. If he does, I don't want to see Tyrod Taylor start a game this year. I don't. The only time I want to see Tyrod Taylor out there is preseason and victory formation, taking a knee. That's all I want to see from Tyrod Taylor this year. But I do feel better about him taking snaps, meaningful snaps, if he has to, over a guy like Desmond Ridder. And I think, Desmond Ridder is a guy who's gotten experience, starting experience, and he's younger. But I think that tells you more about what teams are kind of viewing Desmond Ridder at this point in time if he keeps, not able to stay on teams, even as in a backup role. So you're bringing in a veteran that's been around the block here for a little bit. It's a veteran that has a ton of experience. I'm good with it. I hope I don't see him play any meaningful snaps, but I'm good knowing that he's the backup instead of maybe an undrafted rookie or a 7th-round rookie that so many times we saw during like the Aaron Rodgers tenure where I feel like Green Bay kind of took it for granted, that position. No offense to Graham Harrell or Tim Boyle, but I felt like for a long time during that Rodgers era, they were just like, hey, we're just going to have an undrafted guy be the backup, and because Aaron's going to be out there. Well, what if Aaron isn't out there? And we saw some of the issues with that. With Jordan Love, Malik Willis was the backup, and look how well that turned out. So I like it. So, okay, we got to take our one thing here. We've got Surveyor. The whole point of being a good defensive coordinator is to confuse opposing defenses. If you pigeonhole yourself to a scheme, you become predictable, and that's all we ever hear from the, quote, true fans. Gosh, I hate that term. You must have really hated Surveyor when Brett Favre used the term true Packers fans will understand, or true Packers fans will know, when he went to the Vikings, right? That was the Vikings, right? I think so. That must have really grinded your gears when you heard that. All right, we got to take our final break. We're going to wrap it up here with some picks. We've got Brewers back in action tonight. We've got some playoffs, Stanley Cup, NBA, all that good stuff. Final call for any final thoughts. You can hit us up on that Section 105 chat or the Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Quick break, and we'll be back to wrap it up after these few words. All right, time to wrap up this Tuesday morning with some picks. Let's start off in the NBA, shall we? Last night, Anthony Edwards surprising a lot of people, and he played. He didn't start, but he played and was a big-time contributor with the Timberwolves taking game 1 from the San Antonio Spurs, 104-102. New York clobbering the 76ers, 137-98. We got 2 more game 1s coming your way tonight. Cleveland visiting Detroit and the Lakers visiting OKC. I'm actually going to go Cleveland in this one. Just Detroit coming off of a game 7 against the Magic and such after being down 3-1. You kind of see a little bit of a letdown here. I'm going to go Cleveland to take game 1. Then we've got the Lakers taking on OKC. A lot of talk about LeBron and, legacy if he could beat OKC, again, GOAT status. I'm going OKC in this one. Let's go to the NHL. Last night, we saw Philadelphia and Carolina. Carolina winning in overtime to take a 2-0 lead in that series. And then Vegas taking on the Ducks. Vegas picking up a win to lead that series 1-0. We got one game on the docket for tonight, and that is the Wild and the Avalanche. I don't know why. I'm going to go Wild tonight. After a 9-6 loss for the Wild on Sunday, I'm going to say they bounce back and pick up a win and even up this series. I'm going to be a little optimistic in that. So, baseball schedule. Let's jump right to it. The Athletics and the Phillies. The fact that I'm even pausing about this one tells you a lot about the Phillies' season so far. But Sanchez is on the mound, and he's sub-3 ERA. I'll go Phillies for this one. Baltimore and Miami. Give me Baltimore. I won't overthink it. Boston, Detroit. Toronto and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay got the win last night. I'll go Toronto. Minnesota versus the Nationals. I'll go with the Nationals. We got Texas taking on the Yankees. Jacob DeGrom's on the mound. I'm going to go with Texas. Cincinnati and the Cubbies. Cubbies getting a 5-4 victory last night. Abbott versus Tyone. I'm going to go Cubs. God darn it. Hope I'm wrong. But let's go Dodgers and the Astros. I'll go with the Dodgers. Mets, Rockies, Mets. White Sox, Angels. I will go. White Sox won last night, so I'm going to go White Sox again. Atlanta and Seattle, I'll go with the Braves. Pittsburgh taking on the Diamondbacks. I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks. Padres, Giants. Logan Webb, Walker Buehler. I'm going to go Giants. I know Logan Webb's ERA is not the greatest right now. And then Brewers versus the Cardinals. I don't have a good feeling with, Andre on the mound. He's 3-2 with a 3.73. Then Brandon's on there too for the Brewers. But I'll go Brewers. Brandon pitches a good game, and the offense does just enough to get this win to set up the rubber match for tomorrow. So a little optimistic, but I'll go with the Brewers. So, all right, those are your picks for this morning. Coming your way tomorrow as we are making the turn on the week already. Can you believe it? We got a little Inside the Hobby. Ty from Slab Factory will be joining me tomorrow for our Wednesday chat. So that's coming your way. We'll have another card giveaway, and it'll be Paul Molitor related because we've got a few Paul Molitors. And last week when we talked about favorite players growing up as a kid, we had a ton of Paul Molitor picks. So we're going to give away one of those Paul Molitor cards. So also on the docket, since it is Wednesday, it'll be a Hy-Vee Game Changer Wednesday. Think about what was a move, what was a play, what was a player that you would define as a game changer. And then it's our Mike's Star Market. Am I wrong? Think about your sports opinions, your takes, where you would say, Am I wrong? Am I wrong for saying this? Am I wrong for thinking this? Sports related. Okay, so that's your homework assignment. Your game changers and your am I wrongs. I want to hear those tomorrow, and you can text those right now if you want. You can text them right now if you want. Okay, if you already know the answers and you want to be a good student and turn in your homework early, you can do that right now. All right, so that's coming your way to tomorrow. So, but if you want to win that Paul Molitor card, make sure you're tuning in right away, because I'll throw out maybe the question or what you have to do right away in the 6 o'clock hour to try to get one of those Paul Molitor cards. We got a few different ones too, so we'll hit that up coming your way tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. All right. A little chilly out there, so I guess stay warm, which is kind of weird to say on May 5th, but happy Cinco de Mayo too. So we'll be back at it tomorrow morning, same place, same time from the TDS Sports Talk Studios. Talk to you then.